1 minute late, so I apologize for that. But it looks like everything else is going off like it should. So that's a good thing. All right. Um hey Night Sky, how's it going to you, friend? Just doing our quick checks here. Looks like everything is updating and streaming as it should. So that is good news. And we're just going to talk about Tarkir today. So the goal here, and I think I did this the last couple sets, is usually there's some number of cards that people don't understand how they work or how they're worded, or people want help with deck ideas, or people just have questions like, would it be a good idea to use this card with this card? Or does this new one work the way I think it does with this other thing? Or whatever, right? Some people just want to know my opinions on cards, which is also a weird thing because I'm not that important, but hey, I'll give you an opinion anyway. But yeah, the idea is just going to be to kind of let everybody enjoy the wrap up, I guess, of Tarkir Dragonstorm now that we have all the cards out. Now, another thing too, I will be doing some content like I do with each set with different content creators. So you'll be seeing something with Strictly Better MTG dev over there. We're going to do something for sure. I may do something with one or two other creators. We're still talking about that. I will have a video coming up that's not Tarkir related on Jim Davis' channel because we're helping him out while he's trying to recover from his physical issues. What else is happening? Oh, I'll have a video, I think in 2 weeks, on the Wizards official channel for Tarkir, so that'll be a thing. There's a lot of Tarkir stuff happening. There's a lot of Magic stuff happening. Oh, this weekend, if you want to watch the Arena Championship 8, there will be, it'll be Pioneer, or not Pioneer, whatever we call it, Explorer format. I'll be doing commentary on there with kind of the typical crew you expect to see, but me and Corey Baumeister be getting to do commentary again together for the first time since January last year. So that'd be pretty fun. So yeah, lots of stuff. You want to hang out with me over the weekend? The official Magic the Gathering Twitch channel will have Arena Championship 8. So we've got Connor Byram says, this set has me most hype in the last year, at least since Murders. I'm so excited. You know, that's a good thing, you know? Also, if anybody has questions about any particular cards or whatever, let me know. We'll swap scenes and put cards on the screen so people can talk about them. I would say the thing about this set that has been most fun or exciting or whatever for me when it comes to Tarkir Dragonstorm is that we completely sold out on the gimmick, right? And what I mean by that is when you go back and look at Murders at Karlov Manor, right? We we didn't have all the guild stuff that you're used to having in Ravnica. You had to bring in a new character to solve the crime, even though we already have like the Azorius Guild, which are kind of like the cops of Ravnica anyway. And we didn't really let like the major characters we know be key players in the story. Like the best thing would have been some guild leader put out a hit on another guild leader or whatever, and we find out now there's this whole underlying lore to Ravnica. But we had this outside Sherlock Holmes character come in, try to solve this mystery, do all this thing with like a B-list character gets killed, and then the murderer isn't even a character, it's the middle part of a 3-part character. You know what I mean? So it's like we just didn't commit. Kind of the same thing in Outlaws, right? We didn't get. I was expecting, you know, you said we're going to do a Wild West theme. I'm thinking, all right, there should be a bunch of cool vehicles or horses, stagecoaches, saloons, something to do with the shootout mechanic at high noon or something like maybe cards could challenge each other and fight. Like, I don't know, whatever, right? And of course, like sheriffs and bank robberies and whatever. And we just didn't get a lot of that, right? So all the tropes you think of with the Wild West, we didn't necessarily get. And that was a little bit of I like the cards, don't get me wrong. I think the set design was great as far as what all the cards do. And I sort of felt the same thing with Ether Drift. Like, while there were cards I enjoyed and cards that we had fun with, we could have been either wacky racers and go over the top and goofy and whatever, or be Mad Max. But then we kind of mixed both, and we didn't really commit to either side. Right? We got a couple of funny, goofy things. We got a couple of very serious, dark, gritty things. But if you liked either of those genres, you didn't get anything that committed to either side, right? Whereas I think they got that right totally with like Bloomborough, where we were all in on the animals and the cutesy thing and whatever, and then same thing in Dustmorn, right? It was dark, creepy. We had a bunch of the '80s horror tropes and whatever, and I just feel like they just missed it a little bit on it. I still enjoy the cards, but I think when we're talking about Tarkir Dragonstorm, we went way in on dragons, the 3-color lore, the mechanics, right? Everything we expected to be. I don't think I've talked to anybody who was like, man, you know what this set's really missing, right? Like it just does. Everything you expect was there, right? So I think they hit it right, and that's part of where some of the excitement comes from. Aurelius Maximus on YouTube says, have all Tarkir cards been revealed at this point? Yes, we have the full set previewed at this point. So if you want to talk about any cards or have any questions about any cards, let's talk about them. There's a bunch of y'all actually starting to join now onto the stream. Thank you. Wherever you have come from. Looks like in total, people are rolling here. We got about 25 of you here between. Well, actually, the number keeps going up. All right. Well, great. Thanks. I'm happy to have y'all. And yeah, and again, if you want to hang out over the weekend, I'm going to be doing some commentary for Arena Championship 8 that will be Explorer format, so y'all should come by and have some fun with us. James White on YouTube says, howdy, Petey. How's it going to you, friend? Though howdy would have been 2 sets ago. Now we need some greeting for Tarkir. I don't even know. Like, is there a thing like the Mandalorians have? Like, this is the way, or whatever. Like, do they have like Dragons B or whatever? Like, I don't know what you say on Tarkir. I'm sure somebody who's under the lore knows, but I have no clue. LevDev says, out of curiosity, what's your take on the Omen dragons in general? Let's talk about it. Let me switch scenes here, and let's bring up some Omen dragons, or at least an Omen dragon. Have a chat. Ooh, that's weird. That's not what I want to see. That's not good. Here we go. This is the screen we want. No. Actually, this is better fitted here. Let's do this. Let's see if I can find. Let me put in Omen as text on a card, and type dragon, and we'll see what we get here. Because there's a bunch of them. I think the black one's probably one of the better ones, so let me bring that one up. That one just sticks out in my brain for some reason. Or was there not? I swear I thought there was a black one. Oh, does it not have the omens as a separate ability? It's not just as text? Oh, so the cards count as actual omen cards, the way they're sorted. Oh, that's crazy. All right, so I have to put dragon and omen in the type. Oh, wait, no? Is that, let's see. Oh, that is how it works. Okay, cool. Well, now I know a thing. I learned something right around. Actually, there's not that many. In total, there are 1, 2, 3. So there's 12, 13 of them. Weird. One color. Okay. I thought there was going to be more, but there's only 13 in total. Yeah. So the Omen Dragons, here's the thing. I think there's some you will play because the Omen is equivalent to a spell you would already play, right? Like something like this. I think this was on the previews a couple days ago, right? This is one where you would pay 2 mana to deal 5 to a creature without flying, right? Now, admittedly, you'd rather hit all creatures or ability to hit any creature you want, but we have played spells that are 2 mana or 3 mana, deal 5 to something, right? So if you wanted it, you could get away playing this for the spell that later in the game sometimes is a dragon, right? But then there's others you're going to play because the dragon is solid, but the spell is okay, right? Let me see if I can find one of the others. It's like a solid size dragon that has a spell you would also play. Like this is probably one here, right? If you're playing a control deck, 6 mana, 6/7 flyer. When this creature enters, up to 2 other target, return up to 2 other target non-land permanents to their owner's hands. Like you could play this as a top-end, reasonable sort of finisher in a control deck, right? Just bounce 2 problematic cards. You have a big 6/7. Now they've got to work past that, replay their creatures or whatever. But the spell on this is actually also reasonable, right? Pay 4, draw 3, discard a card. Like we've had that on various stuff, and it's one of the few omens I remember are actually instant, right? A bunch of the omens are sorceries. So yeah, this is actually fine. You would totally play this. You know what I mean? Like both sides are reasonable. So I don't really, like I guess as a concept or as a mechanic, omens are fine, but like we've had this on other things, right? We've had adventures that are pseudo the same. Obviously, these get shuffled in and you can redraw them. But I'd also say, depending on the type of deck you're playing, you might want the omen side more often, right? If you're adding, like, there's one that I think puts counters on stuff or whatever, the black one here. So just getting the thing that like puts counters on stuff and draws a card, and you get to get redraw that. That's cool, right? Like even if you never cast the dragon, you're probably okay with this. And there's some weird scenarios where because you draw a card, you could actually play this and maybe even redraw one of these, which is kind of funny. So I don't know. I think it's fine. I'm not really sold crazy one way or the other. I think it's just another mechanic. But it how you weigh the omen will depend on what your deck is doing. You know, sometimes it's just going to be for the spell, and the dragon's the bonus. Sometimes it's going to be for the dragon, and the spell is the bonus. Nope, it's not an adventure, James. Over on YouTube here it says going back to adventures. That is not what this is. Adventures you cast and they're set aside in exile, and then you can play the other part later. The omens you cast, they get shuffled back into your deck, which makes them very different. Similar, but different. Did they ban cards today? I don't believe today was banning day. I believe that's, let me see. Next, MTG BNR announcement. March 31st, so Monday. That's what I thought. I was like, definitely not today. But yeah, not banning time yet. Let's see. Hey, Ophidian, how's it going? Thinking of standard play, I don't know how Omen is going to work out. It's just a spell. I mean, sometimes it's a spell, sometimes a dragon. There's not really, like, don't overthink it. Like, that's really all I can say is don't overthink it. It's literally just a card that comes with two options. One of them gives you a creature that goes into play. One of them gives you a spell that gets shuffled in. Like any other split card we've had. It's just you have two options. You know, one of them just happens to be a creature. What clan seems like the most fun pick for pre-release? I can't decide that for you, Jonathan. You have to make that decision for yourself. Like, what I find fun may not be what you find fun, so that's up to you. If you know what you like to play, and you let us know that, we could probably pick a clan that helps you out. Let's see. Until Wizards figures out beans and mice, I feel like these are less likely to see play. I don't know if that's totally true. We play decks now that can beat beans and mice decks. Those are plentiful and they are good, but I think other cards can definitely still be played. We see it all the time. I mean, I'm running around Mythic right now, and I played goof off decks throughout the majority of the season. So if those decks can get there, like, you know, anything's playable to an extent, obviously. If anything, and I've been saying this for a minute, I think the card, and this is great because don't get me wrong, I think obviously, you know, everybody wants to get rid of Monstrous Rage, everybody wants to get rid of Beanstalk, like, and I understand reasonable choices, nothing wrong with that. But for my money, I think you get rid of Manifold Mouse. And the reason I say that is I've caught myself more often than not in different situations getting rid of the Manifold Mouse because of the double strike. Like you can handle other stuff if even if it has rage and it tramples for a couple of points, whatever, if you get to kill the creature, right? When you block. But Manifold Mouse creates a world where blocking is almost no good. Right? You're just blocking just to minimize the damage at best. But Manifold Mouse is how they end the games quickly, right? Rarely do the games end on like turn 3 or 4 if they don't have a Manifold Mouse to like double strike plus haste plus prowess plus rage or whatever, right? If they don't have that, then like you're playing normal games of Magic. When they get the Manifold Mouse, things get bad. And you're gonna have Manifold Mouse and Standard with those other mice forever. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, the other mice are good, but for my money, Manifold Mouse is like kind of like the sneaky engine, really. Solar Flare decks might. Oh, you're talking about that other dragon. Let's see what else we got going on. In my opinion, this is what adventures should have been. I think they're just functionally different because the cards are designed differently, right? Like, if you notice, a lot of the dragons are also very expensive to make up for you having a quality spell there. Whereas, like, some of the effects on the adventures were okay or decent or whatever, but also you could just have an efficient creature. So I think the design around them is different. Also within the the set they're in, but also the environment they're going to be in, also makes your design considerations different as well. Love Dev says still like the mechanic overall. Be fun to repeat omens, but time will tell. No bantam on it. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. You'd be surprised if anything is banned in standard on Monday, though. There's a thing where even when a card or a deck isn't an outright problem, if it creates enough negative sentiment or is stifling enough of something they think don't needs to be stifled, which I don't know what their opinion is on different things, I could still see justification for banning something. You know, we'll see what that is, if anything. But it's also like, have they tested with or without those changes with Tarkir coming? Because they would know some stuff we wouldn't know, right? So I don't know which way they're going to go with the bannings. Let's see. That's going to be confusing with adventures? Not really. You just cast an omen, shuffle it in. You cast an adventure, it's off to the side. If you try to put an omen off to the side, your opponent goes, hey, that's an omen, not an adventure. And you're like, yeah, my bad. And you shuffle it in. Like, I mean, the same way we have split cards. You can cast either one from your hand, but then we had the ones from Amonkhet that it had to be in your graveyard first for you to cast the other one or whatever, right? Like, we just knew not to try to cast the other one until it was in the graveyard. Like, you'd be surprised how quick you're going to get adjusted to it. The Mouse of the Rage is going to be on the ban Monday. Very likely. If you're going to ban something from Mono Red, it's going to be one of those two cards, for sure. James White says, question, once you do the 1/1, does it mean you have to cast the dragon? If you're talking about the one on screen, no, you just get the +1/+1 counter and draw a card, and then this just shuffles back in. Like, you don't even get the chance to cast the dragon. Like, you could draw the dragon later and cast the dragon, or you could just cast Dark Side again and put another +1/+1 and draw a card. Let's see. Favorite spirit dragon in the set. I don't even know what they all are, to be honest. I'll have to go look. What am I doing here? All right. Why am I on all these different screens? I keep way too many things open on my computer. All right. So let's go spirit and dragon. I definitely am not familiar with all. That's why if I want something, I'll bring the cards up to talk about them. I have so many things I'm trying to process. Right? Okay, let's look at spirit dragons, and we'll just look at the ones from Tarkir Dragonstorm. All right. We'll just go through all of them here, actually. Bator, Kintal. This is the big butts one, right? If at the beginning of your end step, if creatures you control have total power 10, you draw a card. If it's 20, untap each creature you control. If it's 40, they lose half their life. If this is a real deck, right, like, the big butts matter? Maybe. You know, because, like, you're already going to have creatures that are hard to deal with before you cast this, and then this thing shows up, and it's just like, all right, now I just get to draw a card at him. I mean, realistically, at a minimum, if you have anything in this, you're drawing a card at the end of every turn. So I don't know how often you'll get to 40. That seems like very difficult. But realistically, 10 is probably always possible. 20 is not out of reach because we have a couple of crazy things in standard right now with, like, I think 7 and 10, whatever, toughness or whatever. So, like, possible. Very possible. So, yeah, Bator could be a thing, maybe. Nurev probably has the most potential. This is a 4-mana 4/5, which is already good on rate. And any creature that entered this turn deals damage, it deals twice that much damage. The thing that makes this interesting is you could play it in token decks, right? Especially alongside stuff like Animpakal would be a good example. Like something there. You could play it with plotted cards that have haste. Like there's a couple of those. Like that could be a thing. Uh, it also says anything that would deal damage as turn deals twice that damage, right? So you could effectively be playing it in a token deck and say you cast reinforcements and make 2/1/1s, but they could block as though they were 2 power. You know, so that's a thing. So there's a lot of weird ways you could use this. And then there's also the situation of stuff like Urabrass Forge, right? It just makes a thing every turn. So now your Urabrass Forge at 3 counters potentially deals 6. Right? Like, so there's some cool stuff you could do with this one. So Narev probably is the easiest to build around if I were guessing. Shiko Paragon on the way, 5 mana, 4/5, flying vigilance when it enters. Exile a card with mana value 3 from your graveyard, 3 or less, I should say. Copy it, you cast it. This one's fine. Like if I'm playing Jeskai, I'll probably play it because it's just a free spell. It does have vigilance, which is nice, but for being flashy, it's not. But it just does what it does really well. Like kind of straightforward. Deval, Arbiter of Virtue, a 5 mana 6/6, which already makes me excited. Flying, lifelink, and then this one gives everything Delve for your grave, which is cool. And then whenever you cast a spell, you lose life equal to its mana value. This one probably has the most potential to be busted. If you can get it in play and it survives a turn, right? Because now you just get to give everything in your graveyard Delve, so you can just go nuts and do all these crazy things, right? I don't know, like, each card you exile from your graveyard while casting makes those spells pay 1 less. You probably have to build around this pretty hard because it's going to be a self-mill, something, you know, whatever. But man, giving Delve to every spell and letting you exile things from your yard, and then you have things that trigger from stuff leaving your graveyard, could be pretty strong. Like like I said, if there's of the 5 dragons that could be busted, this one has probably the highest potential. And then Rennie, the Song Unending, 8 mana, 10/10, flying protection from red and black. When it deals X damage, when you choose when it enters battle for creatures or planeswalkers, blah blah blah. This one I'm not as excited about. Like if I'll play it if I'm already playing like Ramp Teamer Dragons or something, because like why not? It's a 10/10 that it's going to be hard to kill because most of the popular kill spells are going to be either white or black. So that actually is exciting. But it's also like one of the more straightforward ones to build around. I would say potential to be the most busted, probably this one. Most interesting deck to build around that's also probably pretty easy to do, probably Narev. If I were just, you know, first blush looking at the cards, those would probably be my guesses. I think I'm looking to or Fenrir Moonfang on YouTube says, I think I'm just going to be looking to do a dragon deck, then a Mardu Mobilized deck this set. Nothing wrong with that. Christmas on Twitch says, set review? Nah, not really. But if people want to talk about different cards, we will definitely talk about them today. Let's see what else we got. Ophidian says, I think sometime banning shouldn't be just about power level. It hasn't always been about power level. We've done that in the past with Standard and with Commander and with other stuff too. It's not always power level. Let's see. By the way, how splashable does Keru Goldkeeper look for a Golgari deck? Let's find out. Let's put in, if that's spelled correctly, I'm going to follow your spelling. Keru Goldkeeper. This guy. Okay, here's okay. We need to talk about this card because so many people are over the moon about the card. And don't get me wrong, like one of the things I will say about this set is so many cards have the words you want them to have. And what I mean by that is it has the words that make you feel good when you read it. Like I'm going to do something crazy with this card. But it's also a 4 mana 3/3. Which means it effectively dies to almost all the quality things that kill 3 toughness things except for, like, cut down, right? So that's already, like, the first issue for the mana that you're spending. You're not, like, getting the biggest creature. But also, what are we doing with it? Right? Because so often people say, oh, this card's busted or this is crazy. I can't believe Wizard Mint. It's like, okay, cool. What does the rest of the deck look like with it? And usually people don't have a good answer. And don't be wrong, I think we're not going to know for a little while. We're going to have to work toward it. But I do think there's a world where this could be in some type of Insidious Roots, whatever type deck. Maybe if you played like turn 3 Tyvar, the Planeswalker, and then like turn 4 this, and then you're able to remove something from a graveyard. I guess Magic Christmas Land, right? You played something to mill a couple things. You played Insidious Roots. You played Tyvar. Maybe you got something back that turn. Maybe you didn't. You played Goalkeeper. Now your creatures you get have haste, or you can tap for mana. So then now you can actually use those and the treasure you're getting to maybe play something else to remove something from a graveyard. But I don't know how we're removing stuff from the graveyard yet, right? And with all of that, that almost has to be 7 of 10 cards or something. You know what I mean? Like, because you have to have lands to be able to play everything. So, like, I don't know. But splashable in Golgari? Like, why would Golgari splash this card? For 4 mana, it's not the big demon, right? The 6/6. It's not Atraxa. It's not the 2/4 demon that doubles all your stuff. And not to mention, the demons also work with your rooms that you're playing. Right? Like, you just have better 4 mana things for those decks than this. Like, I'm not sure why we'd be attempting to splash it in Golgari. Like, what else are we getting for blue other than just this card? Because if it's just this, I'm not that excited about doing it. Connor Byram on YouTube says, love the podcast, Color Magic. I always just want to ask you what burrito I should order. Oh, yeah. Like, well, I have some good recommendations if you're in the cities I've been in. Well, Tiger on YouTube says, which color do you think got the most new tools in Tarkir? Which color got the worst? I think most of the time that's just wasted conversation. I think all the colors generally get a lot out of each set. I think the same thing here. I think almost every color combination, even 2 colors, got stuff out of the set. So yeah, I don't think there's, like, at some point somebody will rank them best. I'll probably do a video ranking them or whatever, but I don't think any of them are trash, honestly. And truthfully, I think even anything we decide right now probably won't be true in 4 weeks. After we all play with the cards and everything else. I even considered recently, and it's one thing I was going to talk to Dev about, is like going back and doing a video of just like, of our favorite cards, which ones turned out to be good, which ones turned out to be bad. Like, because I think a lot of times people want us as creators to have hot takes and come up with crazy things, whatever. But the reality is, even if we do a top 10, maybe 4 or 5 actually end up being, quotes, playable, right? Maybe not even gangbusters. 1 or 2 are gangbusters, and 3 are complete busts, right? Like, it's just kind of how it goes every single time. Which commander set do you like? From Dice Gaming on YouTube. Which commander set do I like? I don't even... I mean, all of them? Like, I mean, like a bunch. There's a bunch of hidden gems in like every commander set, honestly. Like, one of the things, if I could tell you anything, is if you can get a cheap deal on a collection and the collections are mostly commander decks, they're probably safe to buy because there's so many hidden gems in commander piles and commander decks that you probably aren't even aware of till you look up the cards. There's so many random like $3, $5, $10 commander cards. Not to mention a bunch of the reprints all have value too, like Kadama's Reach and stuff like that. Swiftfoot boots. Hell, I'm still able to trade and sell Soul Rings for $1 or $2 every time, and every commander deck has one of those. So like, yeah, commander as a whole, I don't. Is there? I would more specifically say if you were looking for a certain thing or a certain style of deck or whatever, we should probably talk about that more than just like the ethereal, like, as a set of commander, which one do we like? Because even within a set of commander, I might like, but I didn't really feel that deck because it's not my style, But I liked like these 2 decks because I play these types. So opinion on what you're looking for really matters a lot in commander. Supple on YouTube says, are cards cast from exile allowed to be shuffled back into the deck? Say opponent has Urbrek? I don't know what an Urbrek is. Is that a thing? Is that a new card? I don't know. Maybe we misspelled it. I don't know what a Nuremberg is. But Let's say Urbrek and all cards in hand are considered exiled. Yeah, I don't know. I need some clarity. I don't understand what that question's asking. Jonathan Rowe on YouTube says Bator seems maybe more playable in Commander. Possibly. I think you're going to be surprised. Somebody's going to play Bator in Standard, and if you don't kill it, it's just going to be free value for them every turn, right? It's just like an extra card. And not to mention, it's a 5/7 flyer, so it's not like you can just punch past it easy. For Narev, some kind of Mardu, haste, or mobilize? Yeah, probably. With Narev, you don't necessarily need to haste creatures, though. It works fine with creatures that deal damage. Oh, absolutely. 100% with Narev. You can just have, like, the 2/1 goblin that enters the battlefield, deals 2 damage to a player. Right? Like, that's a thing you could do. Now, there is an interesting thing. It says, if a creature you control that entered this turn would deal damage. Okay, yeah. So it doesn't work with, like, War Leader's Call or whatever, because the enchantments are dealing the damage. So it wouldn't do that. It would have to be the actual creature themselves. But there is a creature in this set that when a creature enters, it does the War Leader's Call impact trimmers thing. So that could be kind of interesting, because then every creature is also 2 damage. Oh, well, no, because it says when that creature enters. Never mind. Never mind. When a creature control entered this turn, what did that? Yeah, so it wouldn't work with that. Never mind. Ureni with the blue-red siege. So let's see. Ureni. This guy with the blue-red siege. Let me go look up type. I don't even know. Or that's just an enchantment. It has siege in the title, though. I was like, and then we'll just look up in Tarkir Dragonstorm, because we don't know the names to things yet. All right, this will work. Let's see what that gets us. The blue-red siege. So when one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. Creatures you control get +1, +0, and have trample and haste. I mean, I guess, if you're just talking about giving it trample and haste. But we have a lot of things that can give trample. I mean, this is a good card. I would still play it. They'll probably play this in a few different decks, actually. But yeah, it's fine. The thing is, though, like, I don't know if I'm playing a deck that wants to ramp and play dragons. I'm probably not playing this card, because I'm already having to dedicate, I don't know, 10 or 12 cards of various ramp types, between, like, Llanowar Elves, maybe the new thing that taps for red mana, the new 2/1 creature, maybe one of the artifacts that taps to make dragon mana or something, and then some number of dragons, if that's the theme of the deck. And I'm assuming I have at least 10 dragons, so that's already 24-ish cards, maybe. Like, what is the rest? Because I have to have some amount of removal, or I'm drawing cards, or whatever the case is. So, like, you run out of slots real fast. So maybe you could play, like, 2 of these if you're real tight. You know, if you're real efficient, maybe. But I don't hate it. Don't be wrong. Attacking with an 11/10 with trample is pretty sweet. The turn you play it, like, it's kind of awesome. I just don't know what the likelihood is of doing that together. Edward Rummel on YouTube asks, do you see anything in the set for the Monument to Endurance decks? I don't know. That's the easy way to just say look up the word discard, right? Because that's all it's going to matter. So look up discard in Tarkir Dragonstorm. I mean, this is what I would do if I was looking for cards for that. Let's see. Do you have anything good that you discard cards? Let's see. This says you may discard a card when you do. Well, this is already going to be in colors those decks don't generally play. Return target creature or land card from your graveyard to your hand. But it's also like Chapter 3. I don't know if that's what those decks want to do. Milling yourself, not great there. This is draw a card, then you can discard a card. When you discard a non-land card this way, it deals 3 damage. Like, maybe. It's an easy way to deal 3 damage something. It's sorcery speed, but it technically would be 6 damage with your monument, so, like, that's a consideration. This one, we talked about it earlier, but this is not the type. It's 4 mana, really, to get the discard option. Not what those decks are looking to do. Speaking of Instep, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw cards equal to the number of spells you cast this turn. Probably not what those decks are looking for. You're mostly cycling. What is this? Oh, yeah. This is if you've cast 2 or more spells, though. This lets you discard your hand to draw some more cards, but again, probably not what those decks want. What is this guy? No, he costs too much, probably. Yeah, this makes somebody else discard a card, so that's not really going to do it. When this enters, you discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many. When it attacks, if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, exile a card from random. Like, this could be reasonable. Right? Like, you get to discard when it enters, and then your whole plan is discarding stuff. So if you have 7 or more cards in the yard, you get to randomly replay one of those. Like, maybe. I could see that being a consideration. The reality here, though, is, if I'm being honest, I think what we saw was at the beginning of the season, everybody was hyped about the Monument. And then as people figured out how to deal with the Monument decks, they became less prevalent very quickly. You know, I even played a couple at the beginning of the season, tried to play one later in the season, and it just felt like night and day. You know, I think that's the case with a lot of cards, where when they're new and different, people don't really have a strategy or know what to do against them. You know, but then after they play against something, 15 times or so, they start developing, okay, I need to save this card for this. I need to use, if I have something that removes artifacts, I need to hold on to it for a little bit, And then the game changes within just a matter of a couple weeks. That's just the metagame moving. So, like, are there things those decks can use? Yeah, but maybe only 1 or 2 cards, realistically. I don't think those decks are going to get a whole lot more, I don't think. Abdur on YouTube says, hi, I'm glad Tarkir is coming out. Is there anything I could add into my Bunny Selesnya decks from this set? Well, there were no rabbits in the set, so that part's a no. However, if you want to just look at white and green cards from Dragonstorm, I mean, I guess we'd have to say at most these colors, because we don't need them to necessarily be white and green. But I don't know. I mean, this is kind of the tough situation when you are building around a thing from a particular set. Because at most, you're often not going to get more than 1 or 2 cards tops over the next couple sets, right? Because rabbits aren't really a creature type that we have in a lot of Magic sets. So there's not a ton of options. So realistically, if you were wanting to get creative, you could play Cage with Crater Hoofs in the deck. I mean, like, that's an option. Otherwise, I don't know if you're really going to be adding much, truthfully. I'm sitting here looking around trying to say, like, what else would I even consider? I don't even remember there being a bunch. I mean, there's this thing if you're doing rabbit tokens. If you're playing any of the token things that make rabbits. Like, this is pretty sweet, because now you just get double those. And you get to put a +1/+1 on each creature you control. So, like, this is legit. Like, I could see an argument to be for Elspeth to be the top end of your deck. Because, like, if nothing else, you're just like, all right, I have 4 rabbits. They all get +1 and flying till end of turn. Which, by the way, this is an absolutely dumb Planeswalker. This is a Planeswalker that is going to be probably $40 forever until there's a reprint in paper. Like, just being honest. Like, one, any card in Magic that says, get you extra tokens or counters is always sought after. And that's the very first line on this card. Then it makes a token, but it makes 2, because anytime you'd make a token, it copies a token, right? So you get twice that many. But then also, if you're just playing an aggro deck, and your opponent's just making chump blockers or whatever, you're like, yeah, cool, I have like 4 dudes, I'm just going to put counters and everything, and they have flying till end of turn. Like, this card is absolutely not. Like, this card will end a lot of games. Like, if you're in a creature standoff, you just lose if this shows up. You know what I mean? Like, we both have 5 or 6 creatures, and neither of us wants to attack or whatever. Whoever top decks Elspeth just wins. Because everything else can have +1 and flying, unless you're playing angels or something. Like, it just is what it is. And then randomly, it has the ability to destroy things that are 3 or greater for no good reason. But yeah, that's probably the best card you could add if I were just speculating at this point. But that's probably the best thing. I can't imagine there's going to be something, but anything that puts counters on all your stuff, you know, anything like that, like that's going to be the best thing. There's like something like this. I think people will try this. Smile at death, like the beginning of your upkeep, return up to 2 target creature power, 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Like, this isn't bad, but realistically, I don't think it's a thing you're going to be aiming for as your upper end. And plus, you have to wait till the beginning of your upkeep to take advantage of it. Like, I don't think that's what you want. I think people will try it though. I think that's going to show up more though, where it's probably most beneficial, as in the return to pass decks, right? You could cut like 1 return to pass, play like 2 of these, cut 1 of something else, and then now you're just like cycling those creatures over and over and over. It's like that could probably be a thing. Outside of that, like, if you wanted to get outside of rabbits, Surok's actually okay. If they target any of your stuff, you get to draw a card. But like, a lot of this is just kind of like stretching a little bit for cards to play, right? There's cards that aren't bad to play, but I don't think they're necessarily going to help you. I mean, like Synchronized Charge, another one that's interesting. You put 2 counters across 1 or 2 creatures. Those creatures with counters on them, or creatures you control with counters on, gain vigilance and trample. So like, can make something larger, can help something survive some combats or whatever, but that's probably it. I don't think I'd be looking for too much more. Let's see. Do you think Parination will be played in Omniscience decks with Squirming Emergence, or is it too expensive? I need to look that one up again. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to spell it correctly. I'm going to trust your spelling because I haven't even tried to spell it. Nope, it probably has 1 N on the second one, right? Nope. I have to guess I'll just have to go look at the set as a whole. Let's just do it this way. Can I sort by name? Nope, can't do that. Sort by spoiler. Yeah, by name. Here we go. So I can at least go alphabetically and get to it. There it is. Oh, I guess I spelled it wrong. I think you spelled it correct. I spelled it wrong. But either way, 6 mana, return target permanent from your graveyard to the battlefield with a hexproof counter on it and a indestructible counter on it. Here's the thing. Those decks would have to change 2 things. They would have to cut something else to make room for some number of these. I don't know if you put 2, if you put 3. But then you'd also have to make room for white mana as well, which could cause problems. Because sometimes those decks already have issues when they don't have like blue, black, and green on turn 3 or 4, right? To get what they want back into play or whatever. That's already a little bit of an issue. So I don't know if it's worth it. I don't think the cost is bad to try to do what they want to do. Yeah, this is a tough one. Could they? Yes. Somebody will probably find a way to do it. We have enough multi-lands and things that it's possible. Is it good, bad, better, worse than what they're doing? Like, I don't know. Like, the Omniscience decks right now, I feel like I'm like 60-40 against them. And it's usually because I either leave up something to exile stuff from the graveyard, or I leave up something to destroy an enchantment in response to them doing whatever they're going to do. The difference now would be you would not be able to kill Omniscience easily. So then you probably have to either leave up a counter or find a way to destroy, like, well, now they're trying to combo with the battle or whatever. So, like, your tactics change, and I don't know if that's good or bad for those decks, but could they? Yeah. I mean, reasonable. If they wanted to play, like, 2 of them, it cuts off one of the ways that those decks are probably losing, if we're being honest, and, like, makes sense to at least attempt it if I were them. If I was I don't generally like those style of decks because they're kind of all in on one plan, and if the plan fails or gets wrecked, the game's just over and it's not fun. But if you're into those style of decks, it's probably at least worth the risk to try because it cuts off one of the ways you end up just losing. Connor Byram on YouTube says, my standard Boros Convoke deck is basically dead at my LGS. Do you think anything out of the set would upgrade it? Well, it depends. Why would you say your standard Boros Convoke deck is dead? And we'd have to talk about what it looks like, because there's probably other choices of cards currently that you could play, and there's probably things you could change to deal with some of the problems. So before knowing all that, I don't think there's a card I could just say like you outright play this. We probably have to know what the build looks like. You can always hop in the Discord though, link in the description, it's free, all that good stuff. Any word yet on pre-release for streamers? It's always the Wednesday before pre-release. So next week you will see all your streamer event folks playing in the streamer event. Yeah, Elspeth is definitely the bee's knees. You're loving cats. That's cool. Here's the other thing too. I didn't even look and see what cats are in this set. If there are any, I really don't even know. I'm sure there's some. Like, I don't know if they're good, but there's definitely going to be some. Let's see what we got. Well, I did remember this one. Oh, this must have got previewed today, and I just didn't see it. Yeah, this doesn't look good at all. 5 mana, 3/4, and when you play it, you get 5 mana back. Man, why? I mean, yeah, okay. I mean, it's a magic card. And it's a red cat also, which is not what people want. This one, though, I did remember seeing this and thinking, I sort of sometimes want to splash green in cats, but it's mostly for, like, Cutzel and, like, one copy of the 3/4 that when you attack, your stuff gets counters, whatever that guy is. But this could actually be worth playing. Because right now, you kind of have to play the other cat, the like 2 mana, 2/2 that you can sacrifice it, destroy an enchantment. But also having the option of destroying an artifact and having vigilance is pretty cool. Like, this could actually be a thing cats might play. Now, it doesn't contribute to like the life gain portion or whatever. So if you are going heavy on that with cats, this doesn't help that plan. But especially if you're playing best of 3 and you want some sideboard options, like having a creature that can also be your artifact and enchantment removal, that seems pretty good. Like, I think this could be a reasonable sideboard card. If you're playing a competitive cats deck and you want to play best of 3, I would play this. Like, anytime you're playing an aggro deck and you can often get a creature that also does the other things you want to do, that's just like a win-win. So yeah, I'm into it. But that's probably the only cat out of the set that, well, there's only 2, but of the 2, this is the one I would probably consider playing. But yeah, let me see if I can go back, see what other cards I'm kind of digging that we went through here. Also, if there's anything y'all want to talk about, just mention the card in chat. We could bring it up. This one's kind of interesting. It is 5 mana. Creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Death Touch. When this enchantment... You know what? I just realized my notifications haven't gone off. And that's probably because something's not set right. So those of you that have followed or whatever in the last little bit, I apologize because I don't think we have notifications on this window. I was wondering why it was kind of so silent. Huh. Well, now we know a thing. Well, thank you, Shane's birthday tweet, for 38 months. Rewind here and get caught up in a couple people who have done some things there, who have followed. So thank you. Just want to make sure that's on there because give some love where it's due is all. All right. Back to talking about All Out Assault. Getting +1/+1 to Death Touch, obviously good. Even better if you're playing stuff with the 1/1 tokens, things like that, obviously. But when it enters, if it's your main phase, there's an additional combat phase after this, followed by an additional main phase. So this is actually pretty cool. And then when you attack next this turn, untap each creature you control. What makes this really interesting is if you're playing the new mechanic that makes the 1/1s, it's like you get to attack, make some 1/1s with Death Touch, then you get to untap. They're still there, right? Then you get to do it again. So it's like super annoying for your opponents. Or if you're playing even just token aggro or whatever, you play this thing. Now everything's extra +1, and they have Death Touch, and you're going to get to attack with them again. Yeah, lots of cool stuff going on with this. And again, if you have Anima Call or anything like that that's like making tokens when you attack. The 2/3 goblin out of Ether Drift that makes the extra goblin start of the attack step, right? Like that's a thing. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can work with this card and be super annoying. I think the question would just be how much better is it to play this than to play like, I don't know, Impact Trimmers and War Leader's Call, right? Like, is it better to go that route or to just have this as your upper end? Like, probably better to play the other cards, but if you wanted to like one of this thing to get like 2 attacks in when you do it, probably not insane. Luke says, I think artifact and chat removal is very important standard right now, so I think that's a good shout out for cats. Oh yeah, the green card? Sure. Let's see. Also, man, some cards have like so many versions. Like All Out Assault has like 4 different versions. It's kind of crazy. What else were we looking at in this set that was? I think all the sieges are actually sieges are actually pretty interesting. But yeah, here's another one. Bidding your upkeep, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Or, at the beginning of your end step, if a creature died under your control turn, each opponent sacrifices a creature of their choice. Both of these are more than reasonable, right? Like, you either get bigger creatures every turn, or your opponent's going to lose something. And I think the difference is really almost more like what type of deck are you going up against, right? If we're going against a creature deck, or maybe a token deck, like you don't care about the Mardu side. So you're like, F it, we're just going to choose Abzan and go for it, right? But if I'm playing against something that has like a mid-rangey deck, say like maybe Golgari or something, then maybe I do choose Mardu. So now if they're chump blocking my small creature or blocking my small creatures or whatever, well, every time I lose one, they're going to lose one, right? That's a thing. And they're likely not to have more than 1 or 2 out at a time, or maybe 2 or 3, right? So that's valuable. But also, again, if you're playing against control, they're not going to have a lot of creatures. So you're like, great, every turn my creatures are just getting bigger, right? So very cool card. Definitely leaves you some interesting choices to make, and I'm here for it. I think it's pretty cool. Oh, I just got an Amber Alert in my phone. Hold on. Not quite in my area, though, but good to know. Let's see. That dragon that destroys non-basics when it enters battle is gonna punish greedy 3 color. I don't. Funny thing is, I don't think it punishes 3 color stuff. I think it's just punishing. Period. Let me see if I can find it. I know what you're talking about, though. I think that's one of the better dragons in the set, honestly. With the dragon deck I posted today, I would probably play this card for sure. What? It's just a mono. It's this guy. This thing. Magmatic Hellkite. Honestly, I think this is the best dragon in the set. Like, don't get me wrong. There's others that are flashier. There's others that do big effect things. There's others you can probably build decks around. Not denying that at all. I think those are very good. But if you're talking about a dragon that can be played possibly in multiple formats, easy to cast, 4 mana, 4/5. Like, one, it's already bigger than it should be on rate, right? It's a 4/5 instead of a 4/4. It destroys a non-basic land, which gets rid of multicolor lands, creature lands, whatever. But more importantly, especially if, let's say, you're playing a Gruul aggro deck or, maybe you're ramping the dragons, whatever. The cool thing is, now your opponent can't, especially if you're on the play, your opponent can't play like Day of Judgment or Sunfall on time, right? Because now their next land is tapped for a couple turns. So it's like they get it, it's tapped, now they got to wait. So you get another turn to attack, and you got 4 in the air they've got to deal with. Like, I think strategically, this is one of the better dragons they've made in a while at 4 mana. It's very good. And the 5 toughness does matter, especially when you're talking about trying to block varieties of mice or rabbits or whatever that have been pumped up or grown or whatever. This is a good card. Like, I think it'll stay at the value it's at. It's at a $5 right now on several websites. And that's probably about the ballpark. Maybe drops to like $3, $4. But yeah, definitely playable for sure. I mean, you could make copies, but you'll probably kill your opponent before the copies matter. 4/4 Mardu 4/4 Death Touch Haste is going to be a very fun problem. I don't know what that is, but I will put those stats in and we'll see what comes up. She said it's Mardu colors, 4 mana, 4/4 with Death Touch and Haste. Oh, the dragon we were talking about earlier? Narev? Is that the one? No, because he just has flying. All right, well, let's put Death Touch and Haste in the text box, and let's see what we get. This guy. All right, Mardu Siegebreaker. It is indeed 4 mana, 4/4. Death Touch Haste. It's actually not a dragon. It is the human warrior that is the rider of this. I don't know. Is that like a hippogriff or something? It's got a beak. Like, when this creature enters, exile up to one other target creature you control until this creature leaves the battlefield. Oh, so you get rid of something you control. Then when this creature attacks, for each opponent, create a tapped copy that's a copy of the exiled thing. At the beginning of your end step, sacrifice those tokens. Huh. Yeah, maybe. Like, I'm sort of thinking about what do I have under this, I think is the issue, right? What am I playing on turn 1, 2, or 3? Assuming they survive, you know, obviously creature can die, whatever. But what do I put under this? Like, do I want Resolute Reinforcements, where I'm making an additional 1/1 when I attack? Do I want... Well, Arabella doesn't do anything, because it's already attacking when it enters the battlefield. So we want something with an ETB effect. Maybe something that enters and deals damage to the opponent? That's possible. I was trying to think, like, I don't know what we would want under here. Like, I don't know what... Like, don't get me wrong, there's probably something ridiculous I'm not thinking of. But I'm trying to think of, like, do we have stuff that enters the battlefield, draws a card that we would play in red, black, or white? I mean, we have, like, the bat, but they just would give the card back. So unless we just wanted information from their hand. But even then, that doesn't work because our bet probably had a card exiled, so we don't want to get rid of that bat. So that doesn't work as a turn 2 play. Yeah, I don't know. There's bound to be something. There's got to be something good we could do with this. Like, I don't know what it is. But at 2 and 3 mana before this, there's definitely something we could... There's also a lot of new cards, too, that I have to think about. Because there are some that have some ETB stuff, and some that make extra tokens, or when they die, this thing happens, right? If it has a leaves battlefield trigger, that could be important. Yeah, this... I don't know if I'd say this is a problem, but there is an interesting aspect to this card. In the event that I'm playing against a removal heavy or control heavy deck, getting rid of something to attack with the better creature and, you know, getting a copy is pretty nice, because if they do actually have removal or the sweeper or whatever the next turn, I still end up with a creature. And that's not to be understated either. Like, that's a real part of this card. But otherwise, I don't know. This is going to be pretty difficult. No, I definitely wouldn't say it's meh. I think you just have to figure out what the rest of the deck looks like that goes with it. Because again, there's a lot of cards in the set that we like the words on. It's just what else are we playing around it? Because there are a lot of cards that have enter the battlefield triggers, leave battlefield triggers, you know, till this leaves play type stuff. If you have the right things under it, or the deck's already built around a few of those, then, like, yeah, you just play like 2 or 3 copies of this because it's just extra value. You know, like, nothing wrong with that. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, though. And it having haste is definitely a good thing. Good benefit, for sure. Proliferate the stun counters on a land. Not a strong play. Yeah, you could. You're talking about with the other dragon. Like, that's reasonable. Siegebreaker is riding a chocobo. I mean, kinda. Like, it sort of does look a little bit like a chocobo. That's not the craziest thing. I mean, like, I could see that. It's kind of like it's funny because I was just telling somebody about the fact that I've never finished a Final Fantasy game, and two of them that I played the most of, I actually spent a lot of time racing chocobos and playing blitzball. I actually didn't hardly play the games at all, which is hilarious. Like I got to those points and then wasted like the next, I don't know, 2 weeks or something just doing those activities. It looks like Siegebreaker would be fun in Commander because it's each opponent. I don't know about Standard. Yeah, it obviously would work in Commander. But I think this is going to do some things in Standard. Like, there will be somebody, multiple people, who are going to lose to this card, myself included. Because, again, if you have something that makes multiple tokens or deals damage when it enters the battlefield or whatever, you're like, oh, I'm going to take 4, and this other thing's going to go off. And that's going to be a problem. Also cute with something like, what's her name? The 3-mana 2/1. When she enters the battlefield, destroy an artifact or an enchantment. Like, if you just got to do that multiple times against something like, what is it called? Like the synthesizer decks or something. Or against the mono-white Caretaker's Talent decks. Or whatever, like, that could be pretty baller. Right? So there's some stuff you could really do with this that could be kind of interesting. Even in Standard. So I wouldn't completely write it off. I think there are some things you could do with this. For sure. Yeah. Let me look at some other cards from this set, though. What else were we looking at? Let me scroll back up for a second. The new lands, the rare lands, I think are pretty good in here. Oh, yeah, this card. Jeskai Revelation. Now, I don't know how many of you have been playing long enough to go all the way back to... What was it? What was that set called? It was the set with the school. Because we had... What was it? Was it a 6 or 8 cost spell in blue-red? That we were all like, I don't know, this is too expensive. But it has like a bajillion abilities. Yeah, Strixhaven. And we played that. And this is 7. And I feel like if 2 of these resolve... Yeah, Magma Opus was the name of the spell. Like, if 2 of these resolve, I think it's going to be very hard to beat your opponent. Because you're talking about, it gets to either counter effectively, it returns a spell to your hand, but either gets to counter a thing or return a thing. And then it deals 4 damage to a thing, which to a target, so it could target a player, but it's probably going to kill a creature. It gets to make a minimum of 2 other creatures, 2 white monks that also have prowess, so they could block. They also get to replace this and a bonus cards, because they get to draw 2, and they gain 4 life. Like, if you're playing anything aggressive against an opponent, like, that's going to be so hard to beat. Because, like, they bounce your biggest threat, they probably kill off a small or mid-sized thing. They now have 2 blockers for anything else that remains. They have 2 more cards now, and they have 4 more life. All off of 1 spell. Like, that's pretty... Now, don't be wrong, it costs 7. So it's probably going in some type of Jeskai control, something or other. But, man, 2 of these going on... And it's instant. That's the crazy part. It's not even like it's a sorcery, right? I almost feel like it should have been a sorcery. Or as an instant, let's reduce the numbers a little bit. Maybe make it 3 damage and 3 life in 1 token or whatever. But, hell, either way, this card, I think it's going to see some play. This is the type of card that if you're a hardcore control player, this is what you've been wanting. And also, let's not forget, we still have that 3 cost, I think it is, enchantment or artifact that you can play at instant speed, and then every turn you put a counter on it and makes your instants and sorceries less. Like, that still exists. So if you play that in a hardcore Jeskai control deck, now this is probably going off on, you know, turn 4 or 5, potentially. You know what I mean? Like, that becomes a real thing. Like, it's, yeah, this card's going to be a problem. I think it's very easy to look at it at 7 mana and go like, man, nobody's going to play that, whatever. I'm like, man, y'all don't even know. Like, this card potentially is going to be a real problem. Shane's birthday tweet on Twitch says, it might be a hot take. The free dragon enchantment and win the game enchantment aren't going to be constructed playable only in Commander. I don't think they will often be played together, and I also don't think they will be that great in Commander. I think you would play them individually if I were guessing. You'll probably end up playing a red or red-green type dragon deck with the red enchantment, or in Constructed, you will probably just play some number of 3-color dragons or whatever, and then just play the win condition with like a 2 of. I think that's how it's going to end up, most likely. While it's here, the 4-mana blue artifact that makes things cheaper. Oh, is it 4 mana? My bad. But yeah, same thing. You know what I was saying. Magma Opus was good with Gear Hulk and Hanada. Like, it was good before. It was good without that. Like, Magma Opus was just a good Magic card. It was better with those for sure. But yeah, but Magma Opus was just good. And I think Jeskai Revelation's probably better than Magma Opus. Which is wild to even say, because that card was good. This is another one, too. If I'm playing dragons, Sultai dragons particularly, or Teamer dragons, I should say, sorry. I kind of want to play this card. It sort of looks like a junky uncommon, but it's a 6-mana 6/5, and it has flying, vigilance, and trample, so you can attack with it and block with it or whatever, which is good against like bats and miscellaneous tokens or whatever. But if nobody's dealt damage to it or they haven't blocked it or whatever, then they can't even target it. So as long as you have something else out on the battlefield, they're pretty much going to have to use a sweeper to get rid of this guy. I don't know if 6 ends up being too much, but if you're already doing the ramp thing and playing a bunch of dragons, like, I don't know, 1 or 2 of these seems fine. Like, again, it looks... Also, you know, I'm not going to try to yuck somebody's young, but, like, artwork ain't so hot compared to other dragons in the set, too. So that makes me less excited to want to play it. But still looks like kind of a neat card. Shane says, wasn't there another discard ability with Magma Opus that got treasure? Oh, yeah. You could definitely cycle it and get a treasure. Or actually, I think you just paid the mana and made a treasure. It didn't actually cycle. Maybe the Guardian and a copy deck. Maybe. Here's another weird thing, too. We do have that enchantment still that copies any permanent. And copying dragons could be kind of amusing. I don't know if it's good. Also, y'all, I need somebody to talk me into this card because I don't understand it. Like, I read it, and when I did my reviews, I just, like... I feel like I'm missing something on this for it to be a rare. It's a zombie warrior in black, blue, green, which like, okay, fine. It's got to be some creature type. It's a 4-mana 2/1. Granted, it has indestructible, so it's not like that's nothing. But then, when it deals combat damage to your player, you exile the top X card of your library. X is the amount of damage dealt. You can cast any number of spells with mana value X or less from them without paying their cost. So, like, if you deal 2, you reveal 2 cards. Anything that costs 2 or less, you could play it for free. But it's a 2/1 for 4. Like, unless I'm playing... I don't even know. Like, something that's just putting a ton of counters. But, like, I also have to pay 4 mana to get a 2/1. And then I have to be putting counters on things like that turn plus the following turn. So it's at least like a 4 power. So it's threatening enough when it attacks and does something. And even then, it might get chump blocked by a token. I want to be wrong about this card. Because I feel like if it connects, sky's the limit. You know what I mean? Like, if we can hit with this, boom. Now I'm getting all the free cards off my opponent's deck. And then you can get degenerate. Like, you could play this. You could play the black card that's like X, where you just reveal X cards from top of your library. You get those for free. There's like 4 or 5 things you could play. The new Gonti, you know, whatever, right? And just go nuts with your opponent's library. But 4 mana for a 2/1, this just doesn't... Like, I'm just not feeling it. And not to mention, we have cards that also, like, give -X that decks are playing already, right? So, because we have the one that gives Proliferate that's showing up, you have Nowhere to Run, you know, like, hell, there's the black one, whatever, Malice, right? That gives all the creatures -2/2 and exiles them or whatever. Like, this not being at least a 2 toughness, it's hard for me to get excited about this. But the artwork's cool, ability's cool. I just don't know what we're ever going to do with this, honestly, at 4 mana. Especially considering all the sweet stuff you can get now for 4 and 5 mana. Let's see. Dragon Ball Assault plus the other enchantment that makes dragons from Foundation. Looks like it would be makes the other enchantment that makes dragons. I'm probably going to do something with that, even if it's not good. I will take your word for it. I don't know what's going on there. Oh, Dragon Blast Assault. That makes more sense. I was like, I don't know what a Dragon Ball Assault is. I mean, like, I know what it is, but like not in terms of magic. This is because that's Flame Blast. Oh, it's Flame Blast Dragon. Oh, weird. Yeah, does anything else have Dragon Blast in the title? I don't know. If so, it's not showing up. The uncommon 3-color lands are going to be important. Maybe. The interesting thing is, we didn't really play those very much last go round because there were a bunch of different multi-lands. And I think the same thing might happen now. Now, don't get me wrong, I might play 1 or 2 of them in some of my decks. But if you think about it, if we're already going to be playing, well, every color combination effectively has minimum 3, if not 4. We're talking about 2 colors here. Have some combination of 3 or 4 lands that are all reasonable, right? Because we have the Restless lands, the Verges, the Damage lands, the old school reprints, right? And then we have the Fast lands, right? Everybody's got those. But we also now get to play different combinations of them, right? So if I'm playing Temur as an example, and I'm playing Llanowar Elves, the new, I forgot what it's called. There's a 2/1 red creature that also taps for red or whatever. I might want to play that. Or the 2 mana artifact that's a green and 1 that taps to use the mana for creatures or whatever, right? I don't necessarily want a Frontier Bivouac tapped on turn 2, right? Or draw 2 tap lands or whatever. When I can already play my choice of 2 different Verges, that would make sense probably. Maybe not Restless lands, depending on, how fast I got to have my untapped land early in the game. I could play 3 different damage lands. I could play 3 different fast lands, all being very viable to where you don't necessarily have to play these tap lands. Now, if you don't have them, the rare lands, then obviously you definitely play these because that's your next best option. But I don't know how many of these I would want. I think it also would depend on the build of the deck as well, right? If I'm playing a slower, mid-rangey control deck that has a lot of multicolor things in it, like let's say, just using it because it's on screen with the Bivouac, let's say I have a bunch of spells that happen to be blue-green, or all 3 colors, or blue-red, or red-green, then maybe you do want a few more just so you have the maximum number of every color to not have to be restrained on what you can play every turn. But realistically, I don't expect these are going to show up all that much. I think a lot of people are going to be playing some combination of up to, I don't think it'd be unreal to say some mana bases are going to be 18 multi-land, right? Of dual color lands. Or more. Which also makes the cat that deals damage equal to the number of non-basics way better for the red decks now. So while we may ban something and cut something from it, they may be getting a cat that's just going to do 5 damage or more every game, right? In the future standard. Still think the blue rare land is a sort of trap. I don't think any of them are traps. I just think it's a matter of how you choose to use them and where they go. And also not all of them for standard. Like the blue one of these lands, we're talking about like the villages and stuff. Like, I think the blue one shows up more in older formats even than in standard. Because a lot of it is like, okay, I get that down, I get some artifact mana out or whatever, and now I can just make sure my spells can't be Force of Willed. You know what I mean? Like that becomes a real thing. So, very possible that it's just going to be better in older formats. But I don't think it's particularly a trap. Also, if you're playing best of 3, not unreal to play those as sideboard options against some of the blue decks or whatever and just give you that option. I think that's a real possibility as well. Yeah, here's the thing I was talking about. Herd Heirloom earlier. The 2-mana thing that you can tap, but the mana has to be spent on creatures. And then, randomly, target creature you control power 4 or greater gains trample, and if it deals damage to a player, you get to draw a card. Like, this thing's fabulous if you're trying to play dragons. Like, imagine you get to play this. What is that other creature? Let me see if I can bring it up, because I've mentioned it 2 or 3 times, and I don't want to sound like I'm a crazy person. So I'm just going to put add. I don't even know if I can put mana. I would have to put the symbol. What is it? The red mana symbol in here? Yeah, and then it has 2 power, because I remember that much. Power equal to 2. And it's red. And it's a creature. Alright, that should be enough. Like, to get us where we want to go. Where is it? I guess never mind. I didn't realize there was that many that fit that description. I am insane. Oh, is it not a 2/1? Oh, I thought it was a 2 power. Maybe that's why. Maybe it's only a 1/1. That would make sense that it's a 1/1, honestly. Yeah, it's definitely not. Okay, let me just put in 1. Yeah, 2/1 sounded kind of too good in my head. Nope. Does it not tap? What is it? Okay. Maybe I had it right, but... No, not that. But this guy's actually kind of cool, too, for token decks. Being able to sacrifice this and kill a creature, kind of cool. But that's not the one I was looking for. Let's do this. Nope, not that one either. I think I just made up a card in my head. I think I made up a card, y'all. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I swear there was a card. It was a 2-mana thing in red that was a creature that tapped for mana. But, I don't know. Apparently I made that up. Let me just look and see. Maybe. No, okay, here it is. Oh, because it's a 3/1. It's better than I thought. That's why. Yeah, this thing's nuts. Of course we're playing this. Yeah, 2 mana, 3/1, tap for a red, and then later on you can pay 3 and deal damage to a target creature with flying. But like, yeah, kill a dragon, right? Yeah, this is crazy. 3/1 is strong. Now don't get me wrong, 1 toughness obviously doesn't do a lot. A lot of things kill it, sure. But this also allows it to fight and kill a lot of things. And it's aggressive enough that your opponents want to waste removal on it early. And, I mean, it's also mana production. But the fact that you can play this, you can play the Herd, whatever, the artifact, and Llanowar Elf, means on turn 2, you should almost always have quality mana. Like, you can go from 2 to 4 a lot, but going from 1 to 3 is also a possibility. So this opens up a lot of doors. Like, makes it very easy to play your dragons. Assuming, you know, in Teamer, I guess, with green-red something. I mean, it's possible. But yeah. Because I think some of the argument was like, well, how are we going to play all these big, expensive spells and still function? It's like, well, when your creatures can also be your ramp, and you're getting quality creatures to do it, it becomes less of a concern, right? It's easy to figure out at that point. And an artifact that potentially just lets you draw cards every time a creature connects. So that's the other fun thing too. Because like, imagine even if you don't, let's say you play this on 2, you play a land, you don't get a dragon to cast. You're like, okay, well I'll just play the herd whatever, and then when this attacks, I'll also draw a card. Right? There's a bunch of reasonable lines that make the things just not suck now. So I'm kind of into it. Shane on Twitch asks, was there a legendary dragon you think they should have printed in the set that they didn't? No. We were talking about that to start the stream. I think one of the things they got right with this set is almost every major checkbox was checked. You know, I don't think we had anything really in this set that any of us thought like, oh my gosh, why did that happen? Let's not do that. Oh, goodness. But there was nothing in the set, I think, that we went, oh, this is absolutely missing and they need this. Right? Like, it just wasn't really a thing. Like, I think everything that makes the different decks function, the different mechanics reasonable, all exist, while also giving us stuff for existing decks, right? If you already played tokens, if you already played control stuff, if you're doing enchantment-based things, if you're doing sacrifice stuff, right? Graveyard things. Hell, maybe one day Insidious Roots is a tier 1 deck with another like 3 tools. Like, I don't know. But there's a lot for everything, which I think is really good. Do I think Mardu Go Wide will work with Moonshaker Cavalry? I just don't think you need to. Can you? Yeah. Like, there's some decks that play it right now with the, what's it called? The Collector's Cage. So, like, you can do it. You can do it right now. Like, I don't think it has to be Mardu. I mean, they've done it with Selesnya. So, sure, if you're tricking it into play somehow, go for it. I just don't think it's really necessary. Also, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the cavalry triggers when it enters. So it wouldn't even work for the tokens you would make during the combat. Because it's not your creature's gain, it's just when it enters the creature's gain. Wow. It helps if I can spell. Jesus, what was that? Not that cavalry. That's the wrong one. Where is it? This one, Moonshaker. Yeah, so it says when it enters the battlefield. So your other 1/1s wouldn't even do anything. They'd just be 1/1s. So it'd have to be with the creatures you already have on the battlefield. But yeah, can you? Sure. I just don't know if it'll be necessary to take the risk to do it. But if you're going to play Collector's Cage anyway, you might as well give yourself a chance to high roll. I mean, here's the other thing too. If you are going to do that, you could also just play Doll Maker Shop, and then under the cage, you can get the free Porcelain Gallery. You know what I mean? Like, so you don't even... Yeah, you could just do this. Oh, that's not going to show up, right? Because the card... Let's do it this way. Boom, there you go. So all your creatures are just bigger equal to the number of things you have. So then when you attack, the new tokens actually increase everything by the number of tokens that you make. And that's probably a better hit than even the cavalry. Not to mention you can also play it early, make some tokens, and, you know, do that whole thing. So, like, possible? Yeah. Do you need to? Probably not. And there's some other better options, I think. But available. I mean, not unreal to attempt it. Where were we at? Yeah. But anyway, I think this card, underrated. I say underrated uncommon, but it's already going for like 70 cents on some sites. So maybe people understand how good this card is. Craterhoof exists, but if you're doing Mardu, it's green, and you at least want something that you can potentially cast without the trick if something were to happen. But expect to see a lot of both Moonshaker Cavalry and Craterhoof Behemoth. And yeah, good luck to all of you that have to face that down. That's going to be a lot of not fun. I mean, Craterhoof and Elves, ridiculous. Selesnya aggro, Selesnya tokens with Collector's Cage. That's just going to end some games. Like, just is what it is. I mean, every Collector's Cage now, you're going to have to, like, be super concerned about it. Because it's not even, like, a good card. It's a card that just ends games if it hits. You know what I mean? Like, so that, ugh, man, it's going to, rough time out there, y'all. It's going to be a rough time out there. And it can happen quick, too. That's the other thing. Like, you can turn 1 creature, turn 2 creature, turn 3 creature, cage on 4, potentially game over. Like, not that unreal. Yeah, March of the World Dues also is good. But if I'm given a choice, I'm just going to hoof and go for it. But if you're playing, it also depends too, right? If you're playing a deck like Elves that can just produce a ton of mana, then it's not crazy to be like, well, maybe we do go ahead and play like 3 or 4 hoof and 1 or 2 March of the World Dues. Because those decks can just outright just cast the stuff, right? They don't have to get the trick to get it into play. They don't have to hit, I don't know, whatever, the card that like lets you look at X cards and put X or less into play or whatever, right? That thing. Like, you don't have to get tricky. You can just tap an elf and pay 6 mana and do whatever you want to do. Yeah. But it's interesting nonetheless. I will say that. Like, this set, man, I'm telling you, it has so many options. It's crazy what we're going to be able to do. Like, you talk about a deck that's going to change standard, I think this is definitely one of them. And people are going to be into it, right? Because it's a bunch of dragons. Like, everybody likes what we're doing here, so why not? Also, thanks for you that have been subscribing on YouTube. Here's a cool thing. I don't know if y'all know. Our YouTube channel, just this past week, well, two things happened, actually. 3 weeks ago, we reached 5 years of consecutive videos on YouTube. At least once a day minimum, but about average of 1.5 a day. On YouTube for 5 years, we've had videos up. But also hit 9 million views for the first time. That's pretty crazy. So that's kind of nice. If this same came out before Ether Drift, the opinion on Drift would be different. Maybe. I do think it would have alleviated some of it, for sure. I think that's a viable thing. But I also think, like we talked about to start the stream, part of the issue with Ether Drift, I think, for a lot of people is we didn't commit to the bit, right? We should have been over the top, wacky racers, way over the top magic stuff, you know, Mario Karting it up, blowing up each other's things, whatever. Or we should have been dark, grim landscape, Mad Max, crazy looking vehicles, you know, but we didn't get full on either one of those. We kind of went halfway. And for me, I'm okay if we're going to do the tropes. You know, if we're going to do these, like, you know, we're doing basically magic in space in Edge of Eternities or whatever, right? If we get, I don't know, different weird looking new elves and goblins because they live in space or whatever, and we figure out what a space angel looks like, and our vehicles are like hover ships, and we're, okay, cool, I'm in, right? But if we kind of just use space as the backdrop, but we don't commit to it, it's going to be a lot less exciting. Like I started out saying in this stream, like I felt like even in Outlaws, right? If we should have had sheriffs and saloons and stagecoaches and, I don't know, horses, more horses, I guess, or whatever, bank robberies, trains, you know, I like think about all the things you think about a Western, and we really didn't have a bunch of that. And it was like, okay, well, then it's really just magic with the backdrop of a Western theme, but the Western theme didn't really matter. You know, it's kind of like the same reason we did Karlov Manor in Ravnica, but the fact that it was Ravnica didn't really matter. Like, the major characters weren't that important. We didn't do all the guilds and things that we would normally do. And I've said from the beginning, once I understood all that, I would have much rather set that in New Capenna, where there's crime lords and like one family could have been going after the other and put a hit on somebody and whatever, right? And then the murder mystery thing would have made more sense. And we could even had lore of maybe like Rakdos put out a hit on somebody else, and now Rakdos is the most hated planeswalker. I don't know, whatever the case is. But you know what I mean? We could have turned that into something. So that's been my gripe. Like, I don't mind us putting these different motifs on Magic. I think it's actually fun. I think it's cool. And it's probably fun for R&D to get to explore what would a Western style goblin look like or whatever, right? That's probably entertaining for them to get to do something different. So I'm all for that. But just sell out on the bit. Like, think about it. You know, why did Bloomborough go so well? Because we committed to the bit, right? Like, why did Duskmourn go so well for people? Because you committed to the bit. Even the parts that people didn't necessarily love all that much, where we're talking about having like the high schoolers that are trying to be the survivors or whatever, like, that's fine. We all got over because it was all part of the bit, right? And it's easy to accept. But when you have like Rakdos wearing a cowboy's hat for no reason, you know what I mean? Like, it just feels weird. Like, but I think when we talked about Tarkir, we went all in, right? It's all the flavor of the old stuff. They reference it enough so things are familiar or have reason. A bunch of your favorite characters are back. We're talking about like Zergo and Alessia and whatever. Like, those characters all came back, got new things. We got new sieges that people accepted and appreciate from the old ones. if you're into one of the 5 clans, lots of new cards. Hell, for your commander decks or whatever, if you like those. So there's a little bit of something here for everybody because we went all in on it, right? And there's dragons galore. I don't even know how many dragons are in this set. There's a bunch, right? So we're like, hey, if there's going to be Dragonstorm, let's just sell out on the dragons. And like, I'm for it. I think that's actually super cool. But yeah, that's my preference. Yeah. No loot this set. That is a good call. I assumed there would be a loot as well. I thought that was going to be one of the like last rares they were holding out to preview, because I feel like when we were doing Kellen got one for like 5 sets in a row or whatever before we cut it off. But maybe loot has already taken some planeswalkers to the edge of the world or whatever for Edge of Eternities and maybe or Edge of the Universe. I don't know. Daenerys says, from Twitch, says, Aetherdrift was promising, but kinda. Did not deliver Tarkir. I see dragons, I see battles, I see Ugin, Sarkhan, Anafenza. Yeah, exactly. I think that's the difference, right? And it's okay that we didn't know what characters were going to be in Aetherdrift because it was a new thing, right? We're going back to whatever used to be Kaladesh or whatever the new name is now, right? Like, that was okay, that we were going back to a world that has been revamped, it's gone through a revolution, whatever. All for it. But again, we should have picked a lane, it felt like. And let's just, if we're going to be Wacky Racers, Mario Kart, whatever, let's be that. If we're going to be Grimdark, Mad Max, whatever, Crazy Death Race 3000, whatever, let's be that. But we weren't either one, and I think that's the problem. So yeah, I don't know. I think it could have been better. Now, don't get me wrong. Still credit to R&D for each of those 3 sets, because I think cards came out of those that we're still using and we're still going to play with, still going to show up in decks for the next 3 years. Nothing wrong with that. I just think as far as keeping people excited or interested or whatever, it was hard to be committed to it because they didn't sell out on the theme like they did with the sets from the previous year. So I feel like if you go back and look at sets from 2024, like, it felt like when a set came out, it was all in on this theme, right? We were all in, we're all doing this thing, and it made sense. And they sold very well, despite having a weird motel. To be honest, Bloomborough had the chance to be the weirdest because, like, the humanoids are going to a plane and they just turn into animals. Like, that's weird. But it made sense, for the story, and they committed to it. Everything was effectively cutesy animals. Yeah, and people bought the hell out of it. Ugin is loot in disguise. I don't know, man. I hate the fact that there's another Ugin, and this Ugin's also very good. I'm gonna lose some games to Ugin for sure. I don't even know, like, I also hate the fact that Ugin's back because it means that we're gonna get Nicol Bolas back. And for me, I'm a big fan of, it's okay to kill off your villains. But I get it. Like, we only have a handful of real villains in Magic, right? We have Nicol Bolas, we have Phyrexians, we have Emrakul and whatever, like that trio. And that's kind of it. Like, there's some random weird ones, like Slivers were like a pseudo-villain for a little bit, for a small arc or whatever. But we really only have like 3 major villains in Magic. Until Jace goes crazy and we turn Jace into a supervillain. But for now, that's kind of all we have. And that's also been sort of the problem for the last couple of years. Is that, okay, we messed with the Phyrexians for a little bit, but that felt like kind of short-lived over just a set or 2. And then we're kind of like, all right, we're exploring, we're adventuring around, we're learning about new worlds. But what's our antagonist, right? And it's like, well, if Ugin's back, that means Nicol Bolas is back. They need to bring back the older Elder Dragons from Chronicles. Didn't we do that already, though? I'm pretty sure we brought them back, right? Because didn't we have not reprints, but one of the core sets? Yeah, M19. We had these. We did them all back in M19. Wasn't that long ago, actually. I mean, they weren't that important to the story. They just kind of existed. But, like, we brought them back. Valgavoth is a cool new villain. I think they can make him a big bad. Like, sort of, but isn't he just contained to a house world? You know? Like, he can't really travel off plane, as far as I understand it. Like, you need something that's mobile or can move or is threatening outside of a thing. So, like, Valgavoth is neat if you get trapped inside the house on Dustmorn, but any other way, it's just like, he's just kind of a dude. They might have actually beaten Valgavoth. Make Valgavoth a mobile home? Like, that's fair. Like, give him some way to get around. See, if somebody was doing, like, magic humor stuff on the regular, that would be a fun one to do. Like, how does Valgavoth get to participate in the rest of the stuff? No, you don't make Valgavoth the mobile home. You make a mobile home for Valgavoth so he can move around. He'll have to, like, blast things from the windows, but, you know, he'd at least be able to get to see things. But yeah, I don't know. This is a interesting thing. Like I said, knowing that Nicol Bolas is likely coming back, if I were guessing. It might already be. I haven't read the lore for this story. I don't know what chapter they're on revealing it, but that would be my guess, that we are going to see Nicol Bolas very soon. But yeah, I don't know. Anything else that people want to talk about from Tarkir? I think we answered most of the major questions. I also learned that the card I liked was actually a 3/1 and not a 2/1, which is funny because you would think I would have known that. Anything else from here that stood out? There's a lot to digest in this set, though, y'all. A lot of playable cards, lots of dragons, lots of things to build around, lots of things that fit existing decks. Like, it's going to be a wild ride with this set, for sure. Even this random thing, like, I don't even know if this is playable or not, but it's like, if you have something that triggers ETBs, this is cool. Because you just get to play it every turn, like, just endless creatures, effectively. Like, yeah, I don't know. There's going to be a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Let me sort by name again. There we go. Oh, did we not? Okay. Let's see. What's the best tribe for limited? I wouldn't even be the person to answer that for you. I also don't think we need to be using the term tribe, but they are clans in this thing, so probably refer to them that way. But I don't know if there is a best one, because a lot of cards are going to cross over between each of them. So I think if you go in trying to draft a particular thing, it might end up jumbling your draft more than anything. And it's probably not going to be unreal that you're going to see a lot of 3-color drafts that are splashing a 4th color for like 2 copies of something, you know. Which block was the story when Nicol Bolas fully powered Elder Planeswalker fight with the real villain of the block to Fairy, observed the fight, and at the end, Bolas revealed he killed Will-o'-the-Wisp. Was it Time Spiral? Man, I have no idea. Like, that feels like a deep cut of the lore that I would not have any clue about. Womp Company, more Nicol Bolas. Also, Valgavoth should take over Winter's Body if we do a Grimdark or GRK Dark. I don't even know what that is. Yeah, I got no clue where we're going with that. So glad to finally catch you live. I personally am pretty excited for this set. Well, welcome, John. Yeah, there's a lot of people excited about this set for good reason. Daenerys says, also talking about Tarkir, do you have any deck already in mind? Yeah, lots, like 30 of them. When am I actually going to get to build and play them all? I have no idea, but yeah, a lot, honestly. There's a billion things to build within a set. I was going to like start like picking stuff, but even going down the list, there's like a bunch of good cards. Like, this thing's wild. I don't know what the hell we're going to do with this. But all your tokens having Death Touch, and it makes 2 when it attacks, seems pretty good. Obviously, the Zergo's good. Like, this thing might actually be a real win condition type thing. Like, I don't know if it's possible, but seems reasonably so. At the beginning of upkeep for each color, put a +1/+1 counter on a dragon you control of that color. If you put a +1/+1 counter on 5 dragons this way, you win the game. The other interesting thing about this too is when I first read this, I was thinking you had to put a +1/+1 counter on 5 different color dragons. But it does say if you put a +1/+1 counter on 5 dragons this way, you win the game. So like, you do need to be able to use this to put 5 counters. But here's an interesting thing. Does it count if you have things that your counters put another counter? Like, let's say you have, what's it, Ozolith or whatever, right? And then you put, oh, no, because you still have to put them on different dragons. So that wouldn't matter. It's not the total number. It's on 5 dragons this way. So that's fair. But yeah, this is actually pretty cool. Dragons you control of Indestructible is also a strong line too. You know, even if you don't end up necessarily playing 5 color dragons, just having the ability for your dragons to not die is pretty big, and you're putting counters on them every turn. So this could actually end up, even if it's not a win condition, I think still be playable to just be a problem. Surprised the amount of dogs in the set. There were quite a few. A lot of dogs and a lot of orcs, actually. You don't see a lot of orcs really anymore. So that was kind of cool. So, well, you know, outside of Lord of the Rings or whatever. That was the last time I think we had quite a few. This one's kind of interesting too. The Clarion Conqueror. Mostly because it's a 3-mana dragon. And then ability of artifacts, creatures, and planeswalkers can't be activated. Which, to be honest, does turn off a fair amount of things. Like, that could be a real thing and be problematic. The bad part about this card is it doesn't really do much against like mono black, which is still pretty popular, or mono red, so it doesn't really turn any of that stuff off. So it's probably going to be mostly relegated to being a sideboard card. But being able to turn off different like creatures or planeswalker, or even artifacts against like the synthesizer decks or whatever, could be pretty good. Yeah, turning off the One Ring if you play older formats. That's a real thing you could do with it. Like, that's more than reasonable. Yeah, I'm just thinking there's obviously Craterhoof Behemoth. Yeah, we're all going to lose some games to that card. We just kind of got to buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride. What else is... There's just a lot of stuff, y'all. Like Dracogenesis, I'll just bring it up because I'm going to mention it, but this is a tough one. I don't know. Like, I almost feel if, and it's a strong if I'm able to ramp hard on Temur Dragons and or have a way to draw cards or have dragons that draw cards, then I think this is possible. I think without that, those two conditions, because otherwise, like, we ramped up, but we don't have any dragons to play. So there's no point in playing the dragons for free if we don't have anything, right? Or we don't have enough ramp to justify an 8-mana non-dragon thing. So I don't even think it's necessarily a commander card. Like, I mean, will it get played more in commander? Yeah, absolutely. But is it significantly better? Like, I don't know. Like, because again, you still have to be able to get to the 8 mana to play this and have some number of dragons in hand that you want on the battlefield for free. Right? Like, sure, we may or may not be playing with Beanstalk come Monday. So, I mean, we have to wait and see if that's even a thing. But we already have Omniscience combo in Standard. Why not ramp into Omniscience in Temur? Well, that's the other thing, right? That's a reasonable argument to have, because why would you, if you are able to even get stuff out of the graveyard, do all that stuff, like, why would you want to do it with dragons instead of just win with some Omniscience thing? Right? You could have dragons be free, you can just have everything be free. Like, that's the other issue, right? If we're doing tricks to get this into play, well, why wouldn't we just trick the best thing into play? Why trick the thing that's like half as good? You know, even in the same colors if you're in Teamer already. So yeah, I don't know. Like, might be good. Like I said, even in Commander, it might be, but feels like it's just okay. But again, if you have some way to like keep cards in your hand and do stuff and like a barrage of free dragons, like, I don't know, could be kind of cool. That with Storm Scale, I mean, isn't that the one that just has Storm on it? Oh, I put one too many R's. Storm Scale Scion. But yeah, I mean, this card has Storm. It doesn't give other stuff Storm. So I don't even know if this does much with that. Like, you played that thing. I guess if you play it on the same turn and you played a free Scion, you get 2 dragons. But that's the thing I'm thinking about is like, what does the game state look like for you leading up to even getting to play Dracogenesis in the first place, and what's left in your hand, right? Because you have to be playing either some things that are putting that in the yard to trick it into the play, or early game has to be some amount of mana ramp, whether that's creatures, artifacts, lands, whatever, to get you to that. So those are also cards that are no longer in your hand, right? That's the concern for me. Can you copy the Omen side of a dragon with it and get the creature instead of the Omen spell? You cannot. You cast the Omen spell, it's separate from the dragon. So you wouldn't be able to do that. Because the Omen just shuffles it back into the library. Yeah, obviously, Omniscience is better, because it just makes everything free. You know what I mean? Like, you could literally, whatever we're doing to... Now, admittedly, if you're just hard casting Omniscience, well, it's going to be easier to cast Dracogenesis by a little bit. But realistically, you're probably not just hard casting it most of the time when you're talking about Omniscience. So if you really wanted dragons, you could just get them for free with Omniscience. But Omniscience has like 2 or 3 different combo-y things you could do. So you just go down that road. I think that's the issue. It's just in a situation where there's other cards that are just kind of better. You know? A little bit interesting. I did see this, the Dragonfire Blade, that I'm like, maybe? I mean, if you're playing a multicolor deck, you can equip often for 1 or 2 with this, and that's probably fine. Get a +2/+2 hexproof and protection from a lot of the removal. Granted, that's going to change in the future because there's obviously some good multicolor removal. But metagame dependent, but viable. Cheap enough that it could be justified. This, I wasn't even wanting to play a dragon deck. I wasn't sure how I felt about this with Dragonstorm Globe. Like, it's neat that every dragon gets an extra +1/+1, but I don't know if it's the mana artifact I'm looking for. Like, is it better to get the +1/+1, or because your deck's likely to not have a lot of early value, to get the life from like a cornucopia? You know what I mean? Like, I think those are the things we're going to have to figure out. Like, or what dragons am I playing to where I feel I need the +1/+1? Right? If I'm playing some 5 and 6 toughness dragons, then I don't care about a +1/+1 that much. But if I'm having to play 3 and 4 toughness dragons, then maybe I do want the +1/+1s. Right? So there's a lot of that type of stuff I think we still have to sort out. Obviously, we talked about it. Elspeth is good. I mean, anybody... I'm just going to say this outright. Like, if you think this Elspeth is not good, you're stupid. Or you just don't understand Magic. I mean, I know that's rude, but I can't even get into it with people saying, like, I don't understand the hype on this card and why it's so good. Like, have you seen the other Planeswalkers we played for 5 mana? Like, legitly? This thing is great. Genuinely great. Like, and we're in a set where there's a bunch of things that make tokens on top of it. So every token's 2 tokens now. And it makes 2 blockers to protect itself. That's the other thing. Most Planeswalkers, unless it costs 6 or more, like, make at least, like, make 1 thing to block for it. This makes 2. You know what I mean? Like, this is, like, what? And the funny thing is, the best part of this Planeswalker altogether anyway It's just you draw it, put a +1/+1 on everything, and they gain flying till end of turn. Like that's gonna be like more often than not, you're probably gonna lose to this because somebody's got 4 or 5 tokens out. You're at like 8 life. You're blocking with a couple things, so you're at this weird stalemate. Your opponent draws Elspeth. Everything's a +1 and flies, and now you're at -4. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's gonna happen a lot with this card, I bet. Yeah, honestly, it feels to me like the closest thing to a busted planeswalker we probably had since the Wandering Emperor, probably. Yeah, Elspeth does stack with other token doubling abilities. So everything that says you get twice as many, you get twice as many. Yeah, the 0 ability is just an outright game winner. Like, even just playing a mid-rangey like Selesnya, regular aggro deck, you're like, all right, cool. Well, get hit with this like 3 and 4 power creature that's now +1/+1, and like you're dead. Yeah, it's crazy. It absolutely, like, you could take any one line off of this of what it does, and it's still really good. You know what I mean? Like, if we're like, okay, well, maybe it doesn't put +1/+1s on, and that's fine. Like, the other 3 abilities are still great. You could take off the first line of text, and it's still more than playable. You know what I mean? Like, that's how good this Planeswalker is. Like, we could remove any one part, and we're still like, yeah, I'd probably play that. You know how insane that is to say, though, when you look at it and go, yeah, we could take a whole ass line of text off of this, and we'd still play. Like, you could just die roll to take one of those away, and we're still playing this. Looks strictly better than current Elspeth's play, but yeah, it absolutely is. It's outright better. Like, don't get me wrong, the other one's neat and it's usable, but this thing, and it comes with removal built in for no good reason to just like off dragons, like just because. Like, the fact of the one thing you could potentially do to deal with it is to play a big flyer to come over the top of those tokens, and they were like, nah, we should be able to kill those dragons so we can keep our Elspeth. Like, I mean, how silly that is. Yeah, the whole thing's just nuts. It's a wild card. I'm gonna say this, like, I do think it's going for a bit much right now on pre-order. I think the lowest I've seen is like $40 and seen as high as like almost $50. But I don't think it gets a lot cheaper. I think the lowest you're gonna be able to pick these up for a while is probably gonna be around $30-ish in paper. Kind of like what happened with, well, even now, really, with doubling season. Doubling season's had what, like 5 reprints now, and it's still over $20. Yeah, it's still 30 on a lot of sites, which is crazy. Like, it has, how many printings do we have of this thing? I'm not counting different versions from one set, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a promo 8 and a promo version, and it's still $30. Like, Elspeth will probably never be less than $30. Like, I know people are like, oh, I'm waiting until it comes down in price. Or this, I mean, even at $40, that might be the cheapest you find on it for a bit. Like, I don't think it'd be crazy to say you're going to have to spend $40. And if you want a special version of one, forget it. Those are probably going to be 80 plus. Yeah, this card's, man, this card's good. I don't even know. Yeah, that's true. It's also flying until end of turn. It's not even until your next turn. It's not like, why until your next turn? I have no earthly idea. Like, every word on this card is great. Like, the weakest line on the card is make a 1/1 soldier token. Because it's a soldier, it doesn't have like vigilance or lifelink or anything, right? That's probably the weakest line of text on the whole card. But it's still fine because the first line of text means you get 2 tokens. Right? Like, I for real just don't understand. It's literally like, why did we have, like, why does this not cost 6? Or why does it have all these lines of text that do all these things? Yeah, legitly. I have to say, if somebody tries to tell me this card's trash or isn't as good as the hype, or I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. This to me has to. I don't know if it's the best card in the set. There's a lot of really good stuff. But as far as like the card most likely to hold its value long term in the set, yeah, it's probably this. No, this isn't even power creep. Like, this is way beyond other stuff. Because I think power creep, again, would be take any one of these lines of text off, and it's still really good and better than most of the other Planeswalkers or Elspeths that we've seen. But, man, phew. Elspeth makes me recall the times when Apocalypse was announced and Spiritmonger was like, yeah, Spiritmonger was a boss, though, for a minute. Also, Spiritmonger was created by the community, if I remember right. So that's kind of cool. Yeah, power hyperinflation. That's what this is, for sure. I'm glad they added this. Added this as in the pack bundle on MTGA. Oh, yeah. So if you just buy like the packs, you get this as a thing. Yeah, pretty cool to make sure you actually just get this, which is nice if you're playing online. But yeah, that card, totally nuts. I don't even know what else to say about it. I think interesting too will be what do we do with these Dragonstorms? You know, when you cast a dragon, you return it. Like, I don't know which of these is going to be the best or worth playing. I think they're all reasonable, but I think we have to play with them a bit before we really have an opinion on how good or bad they are. But I've seen some people talking about this. 4 mana, 4/4, Vigilant Trample, Ward 1. Beginning combat on your turn, you get to cast, if you've cast both a creature and a non-creature spell, you draw a card and put counters on this. Like, what I like about it, really, is that it has Vigilance and it has Ward 1. So it lets you keep fighting, hard to remove, possibly get you an extra card, grows every turn. Like, it's just a problem card to deal with. I don't think it's crazy, but I think it's neat. Elspeth over Ugin, yes. If somebody told me today, they put two in front of me and said I could have one or the other, I'd take Elspeth. I don't even think I would hesitate. I would take Elspeth. I think Ugin could potentially fit into more decks and be better for more things in Standard. But, again, long-term value, more fun variety of decks of casual players looking for it, whatever, I'm taking Elspeth. Felithar, Dawn of the Abzan. Abzan color, 3/3 trample. When it enters or attacks, you can sacrifice a non-land permanent. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. This has real potential, too. I like this as well because, again, we've seen a lot of cards in the set, especially in black and green, that care about +1/+1 counters. We know various things with white, black, white, green, or whatever also do it. Man, there's a lot going on here. And especially, even if you're not even doing hardcore +1/+1 counter stuff, this is when it enters or attacks. So you can be like, this junky guy I played on turn 1 or 2 isn't doing anything anymore. All right, let's just pump everything up. And then attack. And the fun part is, it doesn't even say each other creature you control, it pumps itself as well. So I could see this just being part of an actual aggressive Abzan deck and being legit. Or even fun if you're finding a way to play anything that like has tokens that die at the end of turn or anything like that. Well, you get some extra value for it now. You know what I mean? So like, pretty cool card, honestly. I think that's one I could see some play for sure. This thing, I'm going to hate this card by the time it's gone. But man, like, this card. We're going to see a lot of this card. And it's sadly going to win many, many games. Now, for those of you who don't know, we had Mystic Snake prior to this. A little easier to cast, but it was 2 blue and a green and a colorless. It was a 2/2. Flash, counter target spell. All right. We swapped a blue mana for a black mana. Still get to counter a spell. We got a bigger creature, so it's a 3/3 now instead of a 2/2. But we also get the option of gaining 3 life and surveilling 3, or we can destroy an enchantment. It's just like, what? Like, it's just outright better than the other. Like, again, this isn't even where you talk about like power creep, because again, we could have added any one extra line to this, right? We could have made it either a 3/3 and do something else, or it could do like destroy an enchantment or counter a spell, still be a 2/2. Card to still be very good, we still would have played it. It got 3 upgrades for swapping 1 color of mana. Like, this is so nuts. And the worst part is, like, this card does, like, so many times you're going to be like, well, I guess I kind of want to attack, but I know you could flash in. It's like, okay, well, they gain 3, they block, they kill one of your quality attackers. They also surveil 3, so they get to set up their best card of the next 3 cards. Just like, so much value in this card. Like, this thing's going to be silly. You can bounce it, but hell, just blinking it in and out of play is great for the value. Like, at worst, it's just 3 life every turn if you're just blinking it regularly. Yeah, this card's really good. Really, really good. You'll definitely see some decks playing that in Standard, especially if they're playing any type of, like, Sultai mid-range or anything like that. Like, that card's going to make the cut, no doubt. Super good. What else was I looking at that was kind of crazy? I don't know, man. There's so much stuff. Like, I keep looking at cards and go, oh, yeah, that thing. Oh, yeah, that thing. Another example, like this thing is, do I want to play this alongside Resolute Reinforcements, or do I just play this instead? Like, just making 2 guys at instant speed, or I also just get to pump something +X+X. Like, this is kind of crazy, too. Like, there's so many things. And the thing is, that's an uncommon. Like, there's so many good cards that aren't even necessarily rares. That's the other thing. Like, yeah, this set's just going to be wild. I don't know what all we're doing with it, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll tell you all that much. Like, that much I know. It's just going to be fun, if nothing else. Like, it is a wild set. But, yeah. I'm just looking through all these cards and I'm like, I don't even know, man, where to start. That's what I was saying. Like, as far as deck ideas, I have a lot. There's a lot we want to do, but where do we want to begin? You know what I mean? There's so much stuff. And I'll even say this. I think whatever you see people build at the beginning of the season isn't even going to be what stuff looks like within 3 weeks, because there's so many cards that work in so many weird ways. That's going to take people a while to find out. What set is moving out of Standard decks? Nothing until the beginning of 2026. So literally you get to keep everything for the rest of the year until January 1, 2026. And then you'll lose stuff from 3 years ago. So yeah, nothing's going to move. So you're going to get to build some crazy decks for a minute. But also, and I will post this in the chats, if you're ever wondering, there is this, and this should show up on all platforms for y'all. You can always just go there. There's a site called What's in Standard. And basically it shows you what's legal until late 2025, what's legal till early 27. So the rotations happen. So the next rotation, we will lose Dominaria United, Brothers War, Phyrexia, All Will Be One, March of the Machines, March of the Machines Aftermath. So basically that whole year sets. And then after that, we don't really lose anything really until 2027. So, and now we'll lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sets, because, you know, we're doing 6 or 7 sets a year now. And then we'll have some other version of Foundations in 2030, because Foundations is standard legal for 5 years, which is a little weird. But yeah, so we'll have a while with our cards, which is good, because I think one of the things that's helped Standard is one of the things they push for a while is that having a longer rotation means that, you know, somebody who picked up a Bloomburrow deck can still play that for basically 3 full years, right? Whereas before, depending on what time of year the set came out, they might only have like a year and a half with it. Which isn't bad, but at the same time, it's like, oh, well, now I have to build a whole new deck if I'm trying to learn it. Or this also gives them time to add and replace cards, so as their deck starts to rotate, they've already gotten used to adding a few things in over the last 2 years, so it doesn't hurt as much when they need to upgrade it or change to another deck that's similar, but maybe not the same thing. Mox Jasper, I hated it first. I'm still not excited about the card, to be honest. Here's a thing, though, and we had this discussion briefly on the Magic Mike's podcast, is if we play 2-mana changelings, is this card any better? And I'm not even sure that that even matters. Because we do have some now. There's a couple of changelings that are 2 and 3 mana. But like, I guess for me is, would I rather play either of the 2 mana things that make mana to play dragons or whatever, or the 3/1 creature we were just talking about or whatever, right? Or would I want to play a 2 mana changeling and this Mox Jasper to have access to 5 mana the next turn? Because remember, if they kill your changeling, you also don't have mana from their Jasper, so it just sits there. You know, so I'm like, I don't know. This card's going for a lot of money though. People are pre-ordering this like for insane amounts. So obviously some part of the community knows something I don't. Maybe it matters in older formats more. Like, I don't know, but you know, we've had other cards too that say the word Mox, people get excited about it, and then it does nothing. Like, was it Mox Tanalite or whatever, and some of these other ones that they just end up not making an impact. Though pre-orders, people see the word Mox and lose their mind. We need more 1 or 2 mana dragons. But again, would it be worth it to play a junky 1/1 or 2/2 thing that happens to be a dragon to justify playing Mox Jasper? Or I could just play a better creature and a better card and play some Mox Jasper. You know what I mean? Because like, you play a junky thing, you play your Mox Jasper, end of turn, they cut down. Well, now you lost a creature and you don't have any mana. So like, I'm not so sure. It's good with the red card that destroys an artifact that makes 3 goblins. I mean, sure. But what if you don't draw that card? Now you just have a card in your deck that doesn't do anything? Like, I could just turn 1 play a quality card. I don't know, like the monkey that attacks with haste, and then if it is killed, I get a exile a card I can play till the next turn. Like, there's other things we could do that just like are better, that actually just do a thing. You know what I mean? Like, that's my issue. It's just like, can I do a thing with the other cards? Yes. But when you don't get, like, I guess this is a thing that comes up in deck building a lot that we talk about, right? When people submit decks that they want help with or whatever, is when you're playing mediocre cards or bad cards to justify the existence of another card, you now have this issue with your deck that if you don't get those exact cards together, you now have 2 much lesser value cards. Usually one that goes to just being playable but not great, and one that just becomes absolute junk. Because without each other, they don't do much of anything. Yeah, exactly. Gingerbrute, better card. Right? Any other aggressive card, because I'm assuming you're playing an aggressive deck, trying to do, you know, turn this into 3 goblins or whatever. Because, like, here's the thing, right? Let's say I'm playing an actual goblin deck, which is probably the best use for this scenario. I guess maybe there's some, like, world where you would try to do that in, I don't know, maybe Boros Convoke tokens or something, but like, those decks are already good without Mox Jasper, so I don't think you need to try it. I actually think goblins are good without it. We'll use goblins for this example. Would you really want Mox Jasper in place of any of the 1 mana goblins you can play right now? Right? Because we have one that moves up your speed, that also has menace and potentially double strike. We have one that has first strike that allows you to draw and make a treasure later. We have some that sack for damage. You know, we have like whatever. All of those are better at aggressing your game state and doing things than a Mox Jasper is. Mox Jasper is only superior when you have exactly Mox Jasper early in the game, especially, right? In your first couple of hands or draws. And you also have Gleeful Demolition. Now, on the turns you have that, and hopefully you have a follow-up of a thing that pumps your goblins, fantastic. Looks great. But when you don't, like, is it worth it? And the answer might just be yes, right? The high roll might be enough that you're willing to mulligan for it or whatever, and it's worth doing. I don't know, but I find that questionable at best. Dragon decks are straight up popular. This is from Jedi Josh on YouTube. And I think it's really going to be mostly for those. Like, imagine if it was a Mox for zombies. The difference is, though, there are quality 1-mana zombies. They're like 2/2s that come into play tapped or whatever. And, like, you would already play those. So then playing Mox Jasper is fine. If there was some 1/1 dragon that also dealt a damage to a creature or player when it entered the battlefield or something, I don't know, then maybe I'd want to play Mox Jasper. Right? So comparing the zombies to dragons, definitely not the same thing. Because you already have very good 1 and 2 mana zombies that you would play, so Mox Jasper has real value. I don't think, even in Commander, I don't even know if I'd want a Mox Jasper. Because by the time it matters, let's say at best I play a dragon on turn 3. If I played, I don't know, like a Soul Ring and a ramp spell on 2 and played like a 5-mana dragon on turn 3 or something, right? All right, I get to play a Mox Jasper, and now I can play like a 6-mana thing on turn 4. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, is that really that exciting? Like, not really. Especially considering you probably have another ramp spell, you probably already have another land here, but like, I'd rather that just be another dragon, probably. And it's only a 1-of in Commander, even in those scenarios. So yeah, I don't really know. Like, does Foundation's Jumpstart count as a standard legal reprint? It does not. Just the core Foundation set. Imagine Crypt Breaker, but dragon. Yeah, if you give me Crypt Breaker as a dragon, great. Oh, for people who don't know, I should probably bring it up on screen. There's a lot of people who probably don't know what a Crypt Breaker is. This was actually a Pro Tour winning creature card, if I remember right. But yeah, you give me this as a 1/1, and then I can also randomly get dragons later. Yeah, sure. Then I'd absolutely love to play Mox Jasper. Aren't most dragon commanders kind of overpowered? Not particularly. They're good. But again, I just don't know if those are decks that want Mox Jasper, is my thing. Like, honestly, that's kind of my issue right now. I think when we talk about Mox Jasper, it comes back to kind of what we said about some of the other cards is, what does the rest of the deck look like you want to play it in? And then you start saying, like, okay, is it that much better or worse than other cards I would play in its slot? Mox Jasper in Historic with that 2 mana cost reduction Alchemy Dragon. Yeah, maybe. At least it's a 2 mana thing you could play with it, and then you have 4 mana on turn 3, and then that's a real conversation to have. Right? But we don't have any cheap... Well, we don't have any cheap things that would qualify as dragons in Standard. I'm just going to, like, double check, but nothing that would qualify as a dragon that's other than a changeling, and the changeling's just not good. Oh, I guess it helps if I put Standard, huh? Yeah, that would be smart. I guess I could put Future Standard, because it also count what's coming out. Oh, because it's counting this. Boop-a-doop. I didn't count red and that. There we go. Nope, it's still wanting to do all... Why did it not check both boxes when I did that? Alright, well, here are our dragons. The cheapest dragon we have is 3, and it's this guy. And this just, when you play dragons, you get to deal an extra point. Like, I don't know how often we would ever even play this. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like, the next best thing, I guess this technically counts as a dragon. Probably not being played in most dragon decks. And then you have some 4-cost. You have this guy, but you have to play at least 2 to make it a 1/1, and that's the worst use of this. Jedi Josh with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. So, like, yeah, you could do this as a 1/1 and play your Jasper, but it probably is going to die to 85 different things your opponent's going to play, so kind of defeats the purpose. Yeah, and then, like I said, there's some 4-mana ones where you have, like, Stingerbacks, but you don't want to play Stingerback early because then it's just too small. You have Decadent Dragon. You also have, oh, the green-black one. Or the red-black one, I mean. Like, that's also viable. Because we had him in a deck. I mean, Akum, but you're probably not playing a cool. He's not going to do enough. Immersturm Predator. That's what I was thinking of. But that's kind of probably it. I don't know if we're really doing much else. Honestly. So yeah, I think that's the issue. When we talk about Mox Jasper, it's just like, what do the game states look like? Mox Jasper is missing the line or to cast dragon spells to be busted. Or to cast dragon spells? No, I think it's fine. Like, if you have to already beat a prerequisite to make it even turn on, I don't have a problem with it. The mana can just be for whatever. Like, there's no reason to have to restrict it at that point. I mean, they can already turn it off by just killing a dragon. You know what I mean? Like, making it then to where you can only use the mana for dragons just makes it pointless. Did you be kind of upset if I opened Jasper in a draft pack? Nah, because you could probably still sell it even after the set releases. There'll probably be a moment where you could still sell it for like $50. I think you'd be okay with that. Dragonlings? Is that even a thing? It's like, yeah, it's just tough. It's just tough. I don't know what the best use of it is. Obviously, again, enough people are pre-ordering this thing at $80. You know, I think on the low end it's like $70. Like, so somebody believes in it. It's just not me. I don't think I have even an idea of a list right now that I would need for Mox Jasper in. And again, I might just be wrong that maybe the plan is you just play dragons and you just play some Mox Jasper. And when you have a dragon, you just have extra mana. I don't feel like that's the best use of it, but just maybe it is. I don't know. Dragons and dinosaurs should be considered the same. Kind of. But I also understand for game purposes why they're treating them differently. It's kind of the same reason that, you know, certain birds should all be the same. You know, like four-legged animals, we should all have, like, you know, there shouldn't be like elk and something else, or they should all just be beasts, or they should all just be deer or whatever, you know. I don't even see it being good with dragons just for cheating convoke or affinity. Yeah, exactly, something like that. And who knows, maybe that ends up being the best use of it. It's for something exactly like that. Maybe you need stuff that you can just tap some 0 mana artifacts for, or maybe you're playing it in Jeskai because it's a free extra spell. Right? Because that's one of the mechanics I said, is trying to play your second spell. Sometimes you need to play a creature and a non-creature. And you could play a couple of Jeskai dragons just because. So I'm just like, maybe that's a thing. I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's a thing. Ugin, Jasper, Elspeth. It's probably going to be the same cards. I mean, anytime you're looking at pre-orders from country to country, it's basically going to be 3 to 5 cards all the same. So, yeah, pre-order prices are going to be basically the same on these things. But yeah, Elspeth is wild. Like, I don't even know how else to describe it. Elspeth almost doesn't seem like a real Magic card to me. What else was there? Just kind of quickly going through the last few cards here. Oh yeah, I'm gonna lose games to this card too. This thing is gonna be silly. Next time a sorcerer choice would deal damage to you this turn, prevent the damage, and then the damage that was prevented, you deal that much to that source's controller, and you draw that many cards. Imagine how crazy it is if you're like, all right, I'm gonna attack with this 6/6 demon. And they're like, great. How about you take 6 and I draw 6 cards instead? Like, that's going to happen to somebody with this card. Which sounds ridiculous, but that's going to be a thing that happens for 5 mana. Like, that's so wild. But that will be real. Or hell, even against green decks, right? Like you're playing against dinosaurs, and it's like, yeah, I'd rather not take 5, 6, 7 damage here. Let me go ahead and just deal that to you, and I'll draw a card. Like, and here's the sad thing: once you know this card, when we've had other cards like this, you know, the like Boros Charms or whatever of the world, or whatever that could redirect damage or whatever, right? Whatever those were, right? Not Boros Charm. What's the other? But you know what I'm saying. We've had cards that can prevent damage, deal damage. Once you know this exists, this is going to become really problematic in a game state where you can't even win sometimes if you're playing an aggro deck, right? Because if you get down to, say, well, whatever life is of your largest creature, yeah, Deflecting Palm, that's card. But, like, you can never attack with it now. Like, you will have to make attacks that are like, okay, well, I'm at 6, so I need to not attack with my 6 or 7 power creature. I can only attack with my 3s and 4s, just in case. You know what I mean? Like, that's such a weird situation to be in. But yeah, this is gonna win some games surprisingly too. This card's tough. And again, probably goes into the Jeskai control type decks or whatever would probably be the thing. Obviously, a lot of the dragons are good. I don't think that's really a surprise. Yeah, like I said, lots of good uncommons in this set. I think are worth considering. This is an interesting one. I don't know where this is going to end up, but making 3 1/1s and then getting to distribute 3 counters and then everything getting lifelink. Like the trample's nice, but getting the lifelink is super good. But it is 4 mana. So I mean, I don't know if you can play this on turn 3, let's say, from various ways to ramp or whatever. This could be pretty reasonable. Also, a good recovery card, right? If you were to play this after a sweeper, and you're like, all right, well, I make 3 1/1s, and then they're going to attack as 2/2s next turn. And then, like, okay, now your opponent's got to deal with those. Like, this could be kind of fun. What else is there? There's just, like, honestly, there's so many cards that, like, have the right words that we just got to figure out. Like, a 2 mana demon now? It's a 5/5, it can't block, and once it attacks, it dies because it has decayed. But it can also make your opponent's creatures not block by just making all of them decayed, which is super funny. And here's a sick thing. What if you play this with Alesha? And then you just attack with this, and then it dies, and then you just get this back at the end of turn. So you just always have a 5/5 to attack with if you want it. Like, that's kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Like, you literally play this on turn 2. Your opponent can't, like, go for the throat or whatever. I mean, not go for a throat, but, like, cut down, right? So then they just take their turn, do whatever, and then you're like, attack, it dies. You're like, great, play Alesha, get a 5/5 back. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of crazy. But that's another thing that could happen. So, like, that's probably a deck out there somewhere. Or anything that cares about you having demons, right? Because now we have another we have a 2 and a 3 mana demon now that you could play. So that could be a whole deck. So it's just like, I don't know what we're going to be doing with so many of these cards. Like, everything's an option. Like, all choices are on the table. Sarkhan. Okay, so, and if you do not like the 5/5, you have to renew. That's actually true. The new Mardu commander prevents the decay. That's also true. Creatures won't have to sacrifice in the turn. I wouldn't say, if you're talking about Zergo, I wouldn't say commander, but yeah, Zergo. But Sarkhan, I think, is really good for the dragon decks. You can behold a dragon if you do create a treasure. And to me, that's a very big deal because even if Sarkhan dies, it at least puts you in a situation where you can play a 4 mana dragon on turn 3. Right? And that's pretty big. But then, when a dragon you control enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on Sarkhan, so Sarkhan just gets bigger until end of turn. He becomes a dragon in addition to his other types and gains flying. So if he doesn't die, and you do play that 4 mana, either of your 4 mana dragons, then you get to attack with this as a 3/3 flyer, and that's pretty cool. So, yeah, I think Sarkhan definitely has a place in the dragon builds. And that's what's cool about this too, right? Like, you either get to play Sarkhan, to ramp up. So technically you could have 4 quality ramp cards in your deck without, like, you could play whatever the green artifact is, the herd something something, right? You could play Llanowar Elf if you want to, assuming you're playing either Gruul or Temur, whatever, right? Dragons. You could also play the new 3/1 that taps for mana. So turn 2 gives you a lot of ways to go from 2 to 4 at a minimum, which is actually really, really good. So lots of ways to actually advance your dragons. And I think this is the type of card those decks need. And if they waste a card to kill it, like, fine, whatever. Your other dragons are still going to be good, and they have to have removal for that stuff. So yeah, lots of ways to make dragons viable now. I just don't know if you play like 2 Sarkhan, 3 Sarkhan, 4 Sarkhan, because like it's legendary, so you don't really want 4 necessarily, but you kind of want to draw it early. So maybe you play 3 of them along with your other stuff and see what happens. Also, this art's sick. Like, yeah, this is sick. I'm feeling it. Yeah, we talked about this dragon earlier, like being able to kill non-dragons for like 4 or 5 mana is actually super sweet. But it's also a quality dragon itself. It has ward of discard a card. So it's like a real penalty to try to kill this guy. But it's a 4/4 flyer for 4, which is really good. So I expect you'll see this played quite a bit. And again, this is a good example of where the dragon is the bonus part, right? More often than not, you go ahead and just play the removal part, and you're like, okay, cool, I'll do this for 5, kill everything that's 3 or less. And then if I draw it later, okay, well now I can just play a 4/4 dragon. Oh, yeah, Zergo is end of turn, for sure. Oh, what is this? I forgot about this card. 3 mana, 3/3, Death Touch. When it enters, target opponent reveals their hand. You can choose an online card from it. If you do, exile it. When this creature leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner enters or creates a 1/1 white spirit creature token where X. Okay. Yeah, this is just fine. You know, like, a little bit dangerous because you probably only want to take small things with it. So if this dies, they only get like a 1/1 or a 2/2. You don't want to take like their dragon and then this dies and it's like, okay, well, they get a 6/6 token. Right? Like, that's probably not good. So while this card is very good and playable, I imagine it's going to be better in older formats where everybody's just playing cheap spells, right? Because you play a lot of older formats, a bunch of decks are playing stuff that's only 1, 2, or 3 mana, with 1 or 2 outliers because they can reduce cost or something. But generally speaking, it's going to be cheap spells, and there's less risk to it. I don't know, depending on how standard goes, right? Because if you're playing against like mono red and I don't know, rabbits or whatever, okay, cool. You don't care about playing it. Like, you're going to have a bigger creature and you're going to be taking something that's cheap. But against a lot of other decks that are mid-rangey type things, you know, like, you don't want to take one of their rooms that has like combined cost of like 8 or something, right? Like, that'd be crazy. What else was in here that I wanted to look at? Oh, there was a new Sidisi, if you like the old one, like if you're just a fan. Another cheap zombie, 2 mana, 1/3. Not the craziest thing, but you can sacrifice a creature with mana value X, and then you return target creature with X+1 from your graveyard. So, another way to recur stuff. We have another zombie that's able to do that. Or is it a demon that's able to do it? But either way, having this as another early creature for zombies is actually kind of nice. This thing, I'm kind of torn on. The Sinkhole Surveyor. It's a 2 mana, 1/3. When it attacks, you lose a life, and this creature endures. So either you put a +1/+1 on it, or you make a 1/1 flyer. I think it's actually very good. I feel like this is the type of card that if mono black aggro that isn't like, I don't know, skeletons or something, is going to be playable again, it's a card like this. Like, just being able to attack and, like, either your choice of just make this bigger or make another 1/1, pretty big. Also, not to say that you could play this in one of the black, green, black, white, whatever decks that care about +1/+1 things, or pumping up tokens, or whatever. Like, it could fit a few different builds. So this is kind of like low-key useful in a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's, you read it and you're like, okay, I lose some life, but I get this thing, and it's like, okay, sure. But what are the other cards around it? Because there's a couple of different builds you could create to where this card actually is a major player. Could totally be a thing. Of course, Skirmish Rhino. If you're playing Abzan aggro, you're going to play this card. Assuming you're not worried about, like, doing the tokens thing or the +1/+1 counters thing. Like, this is just a 3 mana, 3/4 with trample, and you drain your opponent for 2 life. Like, no downside. You just play it. I have one of the bigger creatures on the battlefield, and you lost 2 life, I gained 2 life. And if I have anything else that puts counters or pumps it up or whatever, it also has trample. Right? Like, hell, sometimes you might just hold 2 of these till later in the game. And then, like, you're okay, I'll play it. You lose 2. You probably have to kill this so you don't die. All right, I have another one. You lose 2. Now you're at like 1 or 2 life. And I still have a 3/4. Right? Those cards are going to be silly. Not as good as the original, but, you know, the remix ain't bad. What else do we have? Oh, yeah. This is like pseudo Snapcaster Mage. It's just 1 more mana. Granted, colored mana, but 1 more mana. And it's a 3/2, so it's a bigger body. You basically get a +1/+1. And then, and it enters, you target an insert sorcery in your graveyard, and it gains Harmonize. So you can just replay something out of the yard. So it's kind of cool. I mean, the card itself could also be tapped to reduce the cost to let you play something else, which is kind of nice. So yeah, I expect this will see some amount of play. I don't know how much, but it does also only work for instants and sorceries. So I would keep that in mind. I mean, so did Snapcaster. But when you consider a lot of the harmonized things, there is some that are some that are actual creatures. Don't want to get that confused. Yeah, there's just a lot, man. This set has a lot. Like, I feel like we could talk about almost every uncommon, rare, mythic in the set. Like, there's so much good stuff in here. Yeah, I think we mentioned Surrak earlier. Like, Mono Green's gonna have a field day with this card. Like, if control decks become a thing, Surrak becomes a major player. Because then now, like, okay, what are you gonna do? Counter it and I get to draw a card? Great. You know what I mean? Like, because what I think people missed on this card is that it says when a creature or a creature spell you control becomes a target of a thing. So, again, you go to cast a creature, they target it, great, you get to draw a card. Right? They target one of your creatures, kill it, you get to draw a card. And randomly just has trample for the sake of having trample. But yeah, 3 mana 4/3 with that much upside, great. Hell, even if they target Sarkhan to kill it, you get to draw. Because it doesn't say whenever another creature or creature spell, it says a creature. So, worst case scenario, you cast it, they, I don't know, lightning strike it, go for the throat, whatever. You still get to draw a card. So, in most cases, it's going to replace itself, which is super good. Yeah, Sarkhan, actually, I'm just realizing, Sarkhan's probably going to be a great card in a lot of people's commander stuff. Just because every time something is targeted, you get a card. And there's also, like, some fun stuff there where if your opponent has stuff that can target things and you're looking for an answer to deal with another player, you can just be like, hey, ping my Sarkhan for me real quick. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you have a thing that could do something to my Sarkhan? Yeah, would you mind? I want to see if I could find a card. Oh, yeah, this one's actually kind of cool, too. Because I was thinking about this card. So, during your turn, spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each creature you control power 4 or greater. Like, would you play this in a dragon deck? Like, the card itself is obviously not a dragon. It's an Orc Ranger, right? But it's a 3 mana 4/3, which isn't small. But it does make all your dragons cheaper. Well, I mean, technically, it makes every spell cheaper. Like, this could be worth it, right? Like, I don't know the answer, but, like, it'd be hard for it not to be worth it. Because otherwise, like, if, I mean, you're already playing other ramp things, but, like, I don't know what all the ramp stuff needs to look like. But also, each future dragon then means your next dragons are cheaper. So, is there a world where you play, like, I don't know, Llanowar Elf into this guy? So you have a 4/3 on turn 2, which sounds insane, but reasonable with the multi-lands we have, right? and then turn 4 or turn 3, you get to play a 5 mana dragon because you have your 3 land plus your Llanowar Elf plus the off one from this. Okay, so then now next turn you get to play a 6 plus a 7 mana dragon because then you have 4 lands, Llanowar Elf, so that's 5, and 2 creatures that are 4 or greater. Which you probably aren't even playing 7 mana dragon. You're probably playing 5 or 6. But yeah, this feels like it could be reasonable as well. So I don't know. Like, again, random card just kind of in the set. Very inconspicuous. It's not a dragon, but it makes everything cheaper. So maybe. You know what I mean? Like, reasonable. Now, I don't think you'll get this on turn 2 a lot because you have to do it with the Llanowar Elf. But you know, even if you just play it straight up, maybe you play some mana thing on turn 2, you play this on turn 3, you're still set up to play a big dragon on turn 4, you know, which is more than reasonable. Livewire on YouTube says, how many cards in our Tarkir decks are going to end up not costing any colorless mana? How often are we going to see color pips? Yeah, I don't know. That's a real question. I mean, you have all the things with Harmonize. You've got a bunch of things that reduce costs of stuff. So I don't know. Maybe we're going to be playing 6 mana dragons for 3 mana. Like, that's possible. I wouldn't say it's impossible by any stretch. Also, Temur Battlecrier, if you're playing these colors, pretty spicy for Commander. Like, being able, like, there's a bunch. If you're playing, assuming you're not playing, like, competitive Commander, but if you're playing like mid-rangey battle cruiser Commander where you get to play a bunch of big creatures, this could be kind of cool. We talked about the legendary dragons already earlier. This was an interesting one when I previewed it, and I thought about it a bit since, but look at your top 7 cards of your library. Put up to 2 non-creature, non-land permanent cards with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. I didn't know how I felt about this because it feels to me almost like, while this is a united battlefront, like we're most often going to be using this to go get some type of like combo-y pieces. I mean, it already has to be non-creature, non-land. So maybe in like the mono white token control decks, you're going to get like a Caretaker's Talent and something. You know what I mean? I guess you get Caretaker's Talent and the Carrot Cake. Then you're automatically getting a card. You got an enchantment, an artifact, and a token. Like, I don't know. Something like that. Because it has to be stuff that's also 3 or less. So I don't know what we're doing with this card. But I feel like this is the exact type of card that when somebody figures out the deck that wants it, wants 4 of it. So it's another one I'd keep my eye on. I wouldn't, like, ignore that. It reads funny, like it's super restrictive, but the upside is still pretty high on it, I think. What else do we got here? I don't know. This is just like more of everything does everything. Of course, Zergo, we mentioned him earlier. Might as well talk about him. Like, 3 mana, 2/4. You're kind of like, all right. But it does have Mobilize too. And during your end step, warrior tokens you control have tokens can't be sacrificed. So if you're doing the Mobilize thing, this is obviously a card you want 3 or 4 of in your deck. Because now your tokens just don't die. At least as long as Zergo's out there. Like, super good. Like, it's a 2/4, and they balanced it right by not making it like a 3/4 or anything like that. But, like, its ability is super nice. I also saw this, and I really thought about it for a bit, too. It's a 4 mana 3/3. When it enters, if you cast it, so it's not like you can't trick it into play, you get to mill 4 cards, and then return a creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Like, I don't know if this is the type of card that, say, coming back again to Insidious Roots, because we keep trying to make that deck good. But, like, does Insidious Roots just play enough white for this type of card? Because you get to mill 4, you get to return something, which is probably going to trigger a Roots, assuming you already have one out on turn 2 or 3. Like, reasonable value. You know, does the regular Abzan deck want it? You're playing aggressive Abzan stuff, where a lot of your stuff is going to be 1, 2, 3 mana. Then maybe returning a 3 power thing or 3 mana value thing is still really good. Like, I don't know. It's another one that, like, I might put 2 copies into a deck just because the upside's there, right? Even post sweeper, you're like, all right, we'll have a 3/3 and probably another 2 or 3 power creature and some upside. Like, probably worth it. I don't know. Yeah, there's so much stuff in this set. I can't say enough good things about what we're going to be doing with this set. And honestly, right now, I don't even think most of us. I would be very cautious of anyone trying to claim more than a couple of the cards very bad and a couple of the cards very good. Well, I mean, outside of commons and uncommons. Because I think a lot of it's going to come down to the metagame, how we're playing it, what we're building around. Like, there's going to be a lot of decisions to be made with this set. But it should be a lot of fun, either way. But that being said, let's wrap stuff up. I still have a video I need to finish for y'all, so you'll have something to watch tomorrow. While I'm doing commentary, don't forget you can watch on the main Wizards Twitch channel. You can watch us for the Arena Championship 8. It will be Explorer format, and it should be a lot of fun. We're going to be at it, I believe showtime starts at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So, you know, if you're on the West Coast, you get a little sleep. If you're on the West Coast, you don't get a little sleep. On your East Coast, you do. West Coast, you got to get up a little early. But it should be a lot of fun. So, we'll be on doing that for Saturday and Sunday. I'll still make sure y'all get content one way or the other. But yeah, this should be a lot of fun. So, I expect to have a good time with this set. But I hope we answered a lot of questions. I hope y'all understand a lot of the cards better. Maybe we changed your mind on some stuff. Maybe we didn't. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. We'll see. I very well could be on some of these things. Which is why we have these conversations. But that's going to do it for now, y'all. It's been a good time. We've been doing this for, I don't know, almost 3 hours now. So it was a good stream. We'll do this again, especially when the set comes out. Don't forget, keep your eyes out. Wednesday, you'll have the streamer early access event. And you'll probably see some content over the next 7 to 10 days with me and a couple of creators reviewing stuff from the set. So, yeah, that's all of you for now. We'll see you next time. Also, remember to be awesome to each other. People need that right now.